imagination. I thought they had a go. But again, as Phil said, when you've got 12 scoring shots to 29, the difference is pretty big at the end of the day.
Well, I'll give you a couple of minutes to come up with your votes, Jason, because we can head down into the rooms with Shannon Byrne.
Certainly can, boys. They come into the change rooms, and the last time I saw this only 4 weeks ago, it was against their big win over the Sydney Swans, just making their way now into their huddle. Not as many people flocking in after that very memorable win against the Swans, but here they are, the GWS Giants.
It's a happy Giants room, no doubt about it. And Phil Davis, I guess a pleasing sign of the way this club's maturing, that they can come in as the favourite in a match, which hasn't been a common thing for them, and get the job done.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a big positive. I thought even when they got challenged, they hung in tough, and it was terrific to get the 4 points. I think you just got to give yourself a chance. You know, the first 3 games, we sneaked 4 points in the round one. We were really competitive last week, and today was just a professional performance. Is probably the best way to put it. Came here, got the job done, and walk away with the points, and look forward to next week against Bulldogs, who had a terrific win yesterday.
You're 6th. That's a great achievement. Only 3 rounds in, but the Giants are 6th on the table. The 3-2-1 courtesy of Jason Ball on Grandstand AFL.
Best on ground for mine, Adam Treloar, led by example most of the day. Shane Mumford, fantastic. Second, Stephen Caniglio, probably didn't mention him a great deal during the call, but he had 27 touches, was really strong in the contest all day. That was my best 3.
So Jason Ball's 3-2-1 to Treloar, Mumford and Caniglio. Hard to argue with that. Phil Davis, thank you very much for your company today on Grandstand AFL, and good luck with your recovery. We might hopefully hear you on the airwaves a little bit more before you return to playing, but I do appreciate your time today. Great to have your company, Rob Cross, as always, and to Jason Ball, thanks to you. Shannon Byrne on the boundary line. We will get an interview from the Giants room, which you'll hear at half-time in the match between North Melbourne and Port Adelaide. And, of course, thanks to Dr. Phil Ullman, pressing the buttons for us today. The rain continues to tumble down here. Going to be an interesting walk back to the car. A 32-point win to the Giants over the Demons. It finished 10-19-79 to 7-5-47. Local radio listeners, you're off the Docklands.
Tap into the conversation about food and fibre production in Australia and overseas.
ABC Rural is the online hub for rural news, features, analysis and opinion produced by the ABC.
With specialist coverage from regional reporters,
Landline,
ABC News and Television,
RN and Radio Australia,
we dig deep and put it all in one place.
abc.net.au/rural.
On your mobile, desktop or just search ABC Rural.
Coming to you live on ABC Local Radio and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Grandstand Digital.
100% pure footy.
Pure footy. Pure footy. Grandstand AFL.
Wastes no time, turns and kicks inside the attacking 50. Turns and dribbles round another goal.
Had 4 bounces, 40 metres out. He should bounce again. Doesn't have to bother. Goal. One of the highlights of the day.
Reaches over the top, palms down. He's 65 out. Launches very long. Oh, that's an unbelievable goal.
AFL.
Trying to spin his way through. Failed. Gets hold of it. He had a breath of space and he didn't waste it.
100% pure footy.
Pure footy.
No one between him and the goals is there. He barrels a long goal.
He doesn't wait for the whistle. Plays on. Goes for goal and kicks a beauty from 40 metres out.
Off the step, kicks across the body and drills the goal.
Gets towards goal.
Swings it in for the winner. He can wheel around and just stroll in and kick a major.
He's from 60. He's whacked it on a path to goal and carried the journey.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Grandstand Digital.
Big day of football continues on Grandstand. The second match of the final day of round 3. Carlton and Essendon's a night match tonight. But before that, it's Port Adelaide and North Melbourne. The Kangaroos, unimpressive last week to say the least in opening their account against the Bulldogs. Port Adelaide, though, very impressive. 2 wins from 2 and starting this year like they started last year. Should be an intriguing game between these two teams, hoping to play in finals in 2014. Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, Scott West Stanells and Joe Sullivan riding the boundary this afternoon. A late change in the North Melbourne side. Jack Zeebel's got his arm in a sling and he's been replaced by Ben Jacobs, former Port Adelaide player, who's going to be the sub this afternoon for the North Melbourne Kangaroos, while Jasper Pittard will be the sub for Port Adelaide. Well, Drew Morford had a big day yesterday. He was here at Docklands, then he went across to the races to see his horse run. How'd it go, Drew? Good afternoon.
Saying nothing. I say nothing. Congratulations to your doggies who broke through yesterday in an absolute thriller. Looking forward to seeing Port Adelaide. I reckon you'd put Hawthorn as the best team going around at the moment. Possibly the Cats up there as well, but one of the most exciting teams, the way they're going about it, is Port Adelaide. Closed roof, perfect conditions. We might see their spread, gun and run type game here today. They're in their away strip, which is black today. Usually they wear white. Maybe that was going to be too much of a clash with the Kangaroos, but should be a good game. The Kangaroos did break their duck last week. Can they follow it up?
Scotty West, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and I'm interested to see today how the Kangaroos go about it. I think they were beaten really badly in round 1 at the contested football, and they overcorrected, I think, last week, and they didn't take the game on, and they got some really smooth ball movers through the middle of the ground, and I hope they go at the game. We saw the same with the Bulldogs in round 1, and they turned it around yesterday with a little bit more attacking. Yet you got to, when you're contested footy, the clearances, and make sure you have really good team defence structure. But you've got to go with your strength, and your strength is moving the ball quickly through the middle part of the ground and bringing your forwards into it. Last week they started the land of the Giants and decided to chip the ball around and give their forwards no look at it at all. But look, Port Adelaide have been terrific. They've got three genuine forwards who want to just contest and lead up at the footy. They've got a good, strong midfield and a solid defence. So we should be talking them up because they're in great form.
Stanley, g'day.
Great to be here, Danny. Yeah, look, I agree with everything everybody said. We've just left one little bit out, the effective showdown. And I know that Port Adelaide, during the week, some of my little insiders have told me that Kenny Hinkley, if there's one thing he's worried about, the fact is that after the showdown, it just seems to drain both sides. So the effect of that will be very, very interesting. They should start favourites. They're playing great footy, and they're playing good four-quarter footy. But you just never know in this game, and already this weekend we've seen a few things that have made us raise our eyebrows.
That's why we love this game so much. Now, a little while ago, Joe Sullivan, who's riding the boundary for us, good to have him with us, went into the Kangaroos rooms and was able to have a bit of a chat with one of their star players, their big ruckman, Todd Goldstein.
Todd, thanks for joining us, and we've got a little bit of beats in the background next to the speaker. What's the ideology behind the speaker?
I think it's just trying to relax the boys and put some good music on, and so you don't have to think about too much about the game and keep your arousal levels down a bit. So, Zeeves is always good enough to put it on, and I think a few of the boys like myself run away from it, but Zeeves is always happy to put something on.
Talk us through the warm-up before. I got a great little insight into how things were working before. I think it was called a priming session. I walked in and everyone was on one foot trying to bounce a ball. What was going on there?
Yeah, we just, I think it's about trying to get some of our muscles firing early on, just get them moving, and then just keep the arousal levels down, because I think you can get yourself a bit too hyped up early on in the game. So it's just about trying to relax everyone, get your muscle firing without doing too much work too early.
And look, internally from last week, how much did last week's win buoy the club heading into this week's match?
Yeah, any win's a good feeling. It makes you pull up a lot better. It makes you feel a lot better about yourself during the week. But I think it gets a lot of pressure off to getting that first win and getting the 4 points. It really does help. But I think every game's important now, so the competition's that close that there's pressure on every week, so it doesn't do too much. I think you forget about it pretty fast after the bounce.
What about your role? Often seen as sort of the dominant ruckman in this side. Daniel Curry got his first run last week and I think kicked a goal as well as Drew Petrie saves you from copping one in the head there. But in terms of your role as the lead ruckman, is that slightly changed now when you're the likes of Magic Dor, Dan Curry sort of nipping at your heels a little bit?
Oh, it doesn't change too much. I think I'm still expected to play 85% of the game in the ruck, and it's just a luxury of having Dan Curry in the side, so Drewy doesn't have to relieve me. So Dan Curry on his own is a sensational ruckman, so it gives us that little bit more flexibility, allows me to have a bit more time on the bench and go forward if that's what we need, but it just gives a bit more flexibility and allows us to have our best key forward stay forward.
I dare say that you'll probably say that the game we won and lost with your taps today, because that's your role, getting the first touch of the footy. But in terms of the overall match today, matching up against Port Adelaide, where do you think the game's going to be won and lost?
Well, I think it's just if we allow them to spread and use the footy by hand and foot quite easily unchallenged, then it'll be a tough day for us. But if we can win the footy in a contest and watch their spread, then the game's definitely there for the taking.
Well, Todd Goldstein, we better leave it there because I think you're not too far away from heading into a meeting. Thank you very much for joining us on ABC Grandstand, and all the very best for that match today against Port Adelaide.
Beautiful, thank you very much.
Joe Sullivan with big North Melbourne ruckman Todd Goldstein. Obviously, Scotty and Standy's crucial for the Kangaroos. Daniel Curry did okay last week on debut. A lot left up to Matthew Lobe at Port Adelaide, but he's a player like a number of their youngsters really has developed in the last year or so under Ken Hinkley.
Yeah, he has. He's been terrific, Lobe. So, Stan?
Well, are we on?
Stanley's on.
Yeah, well, look, you're right, Scotty. They've just cut your wires, son.
Testing 1, 2.
No,
testing.
Sounding better.
Look, Matty Lobe's been terrific for Port Adelaide. I think he's developed, as you said, Dan, under Kenny Hinkley's given him a lot of responsibility, rucks a lot, not unlike Todd Goldstein. So it'll be a really interesting duel because we know if you can win away from the contested possession or the stoppage situation, it just gives your forward so much better opportunity to be in free space with a one-on-one contest. So, that duel's going to be really important. And I think see who stretches one another, who's going to push forward out to the wing, because the really good ruckmen impact in the air and around the ground, not just at stoppages.
I agree, because look, very rarely do we see a ruckman go up and just palm the ball beautifully down to a player and come in. I mean, it's so tight. Who often wins the ruck hit out, that doesn't have an enormous effect. It's what happens at ground level. But it's what you do around the ground. It's that presence, and probably even the follow-up from the tap, isn't it? The one who can go in and put their body on the line. And then, as you said, you just create that situation. If you can be proactive and get forward and force the other person to chase you and do things like that, I reckon that has a massive impact on the game. So I'll be very interested to do that. I think that Lobe has certainly developed in that area. He's a good player in the back half. He loves to go forward as well. And Goldstein, I think that he battled on bravely last week. I mean, he's no doubt he was really suffering from that shoulder injury. I would expect to be a lot better today because he is a crucial player for them.
The other one I'm interested in, Lindsay Thomas. I was quite critical of him last week with his body language. He was undisciplined. Cost Daniel Curry his first kick in league football. So to see how he reacts this week, Picken did a terrific job last week. He's going to get close attention. There's no doubt Port would have watched that. So really interested to see how he backs up today after that last week's effort.
As mentioned, Joe Sullivan's riding the boundary for us today. Welcome to the show, Joe. Good to have you with us.
Thanks very much, mate. Port Adelaide have won the toss. They'll be kicking to the right of the radio dial, also known as the Coventry end. Here we go.
Good on you, Joe. Here's Drew Morvan on Grandstand AFL. He umpires for this afternoon's big clash. Stuart Wen, Jason Armstrong, Robert Finlay.
Just as well I'm not a coach. I know nothing. Del Santo starting on the bench.
Both sides got a man back, so they're starting off with a defensive mindset.
Umpire holds the ball aloft and hurls it into the turf, and away we go. Goldstein comes over the top, gets a fingernail to the ball, and the Kangaroos burst out. And the kick by Cunnington, deep to full forward. Might have been some interference. Curry held off the ball, and Port Adelaide able to dash out of defence with it. Broadbent clears for Port. Wingard marks at halfback. Fires off the hand pass. Beautiful movement. Boat down the line. A drop mark, but comes all right for Monfries. Gets the hand pass away. And the kick by Ebert up to the 50. Port have it again. The hand pass from Schultz back. Monfries kick deep inside the 50. Wingard can't mark. Under pressure. Monfries taken to ground in heavy tackling by the Kangaroos, and the umpire comes in and is going to ball this one up. Well, North went forward, but Port Adelaide's defence held strong, and their pinpoint passing was good early.
Bounce. Cunnington to clear, another clearance for him, a quick one. Almost taken on the scoop by Holmes. She gets a second grab at it on the dockside. Handballs outside to White. Shakes tackles for Port Adelaide. Hand pass to Jonas, defensive, give to Carlisle. Now he delivers to the bullseye in the middle of the ground to Broadbent. Goes to the outer side. Good pass finds Hartlett. Port with a lot more possession at the moment. Heading to the Coventry end. Kicks low. Thompson got in the way of Gray. It was a low pass. Read it nicely, the star fullback. And punches it out of bounds on defensive 50 for North Melbourne at the Coventry end.
It's hard to know who's initiated this spare because it was obviously the start of the game. But if the Kangaroos don't round up on that spare Port defender at stoppages, he's just going to dominate all day.
Boundary throw in. Lobe pushes Goldstein out of that. Rowed by Bastanak. Takes on tackles. Handballs to Greenwood. Can't take it cleanly. Was the sub last week and did well. Number of hand passes in the back half. Attlee gets one now to Bastanak, who cuts around a couple of opponents. On the outer side, kicks high towards the wing. Tringove makes a good contest on Curry. Port Adelaide with numbers at ground level. White got a hand pass out. Lobe tries to lay a tackle. As Wells has taken over the boundary between wing and half forward. Boundary throw in, no scores yet.
2 minutes played. City wing for the throw-in. Lobe and Goldstein. We heard from Goldie just prior to the bounce. He works it down to the front. It's taken by Ebert, slides one across to Boat. His hand pass is good. Taken by Wingard. The hand pass to Polek. What a player he's been since coming from Brisbane. And he's caught on in the ball. You give a bloke a rap and straight away he turns it over. It was a good tackle. McDonald takes the free kick. And North square the ball up. In fact, go backwards to the defensive goal square. Out of there by Mullet to the 50. Trouble for Greenwood. But he does well at ground level. Works it across to Thompson. Greenwood will take it back. Awkward bouncing ball, but he gathers. Left-hand hand pass. They're up to the wing, the Kangaroos. McDonald, in his first season, works it across. Taken by McKenzie, but a poor old kick, and it's chopped off by Hartlett, the medalist from last week. He kicks towards the middle of the ground.
Ebert gets the hand pass off to Wines. Back to Ebert. Caught late. Kicks inside 50. From behind, Schultz has to lay a punch. Does well. Wingard had it footed away. Ground level, McKenzie. Back edge centre square. Got slid into, and the hand pass comes out from Grimer of North. Adams is there. Goes in harder on his opponent, Cassisi, on the wing. Holds it up. Can he get rid of it? The umpire says, give it to me, boys. I'll ball it up. Goldstein flies in, wins it, trying to rove it. Corns got knocked off it by Goldstein on the dockside. Threads a hand pass outside to Greenwood. Hand pass now to Cunnington. Wants to take on Cassisi. Too slow. That's holding the ball. He had that for a week, umpire. And it's going to be Port Adelaide's free kick. Dom Cassisi on the dockside wing.
Gee, why did he just do that? I mean, all he had to do was belt along the boundary line, Cunnington. It was just crazy play.
Nearly 4 minutes played and we haven't had a score as yet. Under a closed roof, perfect conditions. Cassisi goes all the way back to the defensive 50 and Jonas has the mark for Port. Nobody really stands his mark, so he goes off at an oblique angle, has a lazy bounce and kicks towards the City wing. Raking kick and a terrific mark hauled in by Homsch. Well, he's got a runner going past. Great play. Chaplin kicks up towards half forward. North have turned it over. Wells gets the hand pass out. A chain of hand passes in midfield. Out in front, running onto it is Gibson. He goes to ground near the circles. And they've turned it over. Port have it again. Ebert fires out a hand pass. Comes to Homsch off the left boot. Terrific pass. And the mark taken by Butcher on the lead. A kick and a half for goal. Butcher long towards full forward. Schultz in the middle. It slips through at the back. Monfries, easy goal. He read it better than anybody else. Stayed goal side and gets the first goal of the game after 5 minutes.
Well, it hasn't been pretty, to say the least. It's been played between the arcs. There's been a lot of uncontested marks, a lot of turnover, handball errors. Terrific pressure through the middle of the ground by the Port Adelaide Football Club. Gibson just couldn't get through the tackle. Cunnington again just tried to do too much. He just should have got the ball off the deck, get it going forward, especially on the game when it's hot. But Port Adelaide were able to turn them over through the middle part of the ground. This is a ground where you cannot afford to have turnovers in the middle. It just goes back over your head. And really good long strong kick into the full forward, and Monfries at the back of the pack, opportunist goal.
Yeah, first goal of the season for Angus Monfries. Kicked 39 last year. Bounce in the middle. Goldstein and Lobe his time there leaps. No one got it. Good play though by Bastanak. A hand pass to Del Santo. Running onto it now is McMillan on the left. On the dockside. Kicks low inside 50. Clears everyone. Bar the attacking Broadbent. Runs Port out of trouble. Good hand pass Cassisi. Handball's on the outside of the former Tiger White. He's running wide via the Cape. Close to the boundary. Gets his boot to ball. And he was shoved in the back as he kicked it. Free kick down the ground to go to another former Tiger, Jay Schultz for Port. Right half forward on the dockside. Kicks inside 50. Butcher. 2 to beat. Went underneath it, Johnny Butcher. And McDonald and also Hansen destroy it to the boundary. 30 around from North's defensive goal at the Coventry end. They trail by a goal.
All players in one half of the ground. At the boundary throw in. It's worked Port's way. chopped off in defence for the Kangaroos by McMillan, who's kicked towards centre wing. Well marked by Curry, the second gamer. He's waited a long time to get his chance at league football. And he kicks it backwards into the defensive 50, where Del Santo takes the mark in the Larry Orange boots. Short pass out wide to Wells. So those two possessions, they lost some ground. Wells at left half back for the Kangaroos, very static, wants some movement. He gets some from Bastonak, but a good spoil put on him by Polek, and he sees the ball over the boundary line. And the Kangaroos probably touched it 5 times to get it short of half-back flank for a boundary throw-in.
I don't know why Drew Petrie's in the middle of the ground. He needs to be down the line for the out-kick, whether it's just a contest out-of-bounds reset. He needs to work a bit harder.
Lobe leans in from behind and beats Goldstein, and Bastonak's there, and Lobe crawls all over him to try and win control of the footy. A number of players milling around at half-forward for Port Adelaide. On the dock side, there'll be a ball up. Reasonable crowd. First double header in Melbourne today, the big one, Carlton and Essendon after this on grandstand as Travis Boak clears congestion and sockers it out of bounds, makes some valuable territory for Port Adelaide on attacking 50 at the Coventry end on the dock side. Just inside, 48 around from the goal they're attacking. With Joe Sullivan in just a second. Back into play. Goldstein. Open-handed slap. Greenwood grabs for North, handballs into traffic. Del Santo pumps one out under pressure. Taken over the boundary by Boak with Bastonak hanging on before Drew. Joe.
It's just come to the bench, Brad Edwards, and there's got a nasty little cut on his left shoulder with a bit of blood on his face, so he's just getting that cleaned up right now.
Port a goal to nil after 8.5 minutes. The boundary throw in on Port's forward 50. Gets through a few players and is now scrapped for it at ground level. Ball gouged out by Boak. Still on the 50, and Wines accidentally sockers the ball away from himself while he's trying to pick up, and it's back out of play. Forward 50, boundary throw in. A goal for Port, kicked by Angus Monfries. Ball comes spinning back into play. Goldstein in front. I wonder if he'll match Mummy's 60 hit-outs that he got in Sydney this afternoon. Cassisi slings out a hand pass. It comes to Wingard, who goes for a shot for goal, and he's just offline and misses to the left-hand side for a behind. Port 1-1, North yet to score.
Long man to be open there on the outside. Wingard loves the goal, just missed on that occasion. 9 played. Kick back into play. Atley kicks to a one-on-one, and Wingard easily beats Del Santo at half-forward. Hooks around the body. Poor kick. And Wines takes a good mark running into space. He's at right half-forward, 40 from goal.
Dell lost the contest and lost his boot.
He did.
And this is what I don't get. They've got a fullback kick out. They've got Curry, they've got Goldstein, they've got Petrie, they've got Black, all contested mark players, all on their heels in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
One of them needs to present up to make a contest.
Well, especially seeing the game for its 10 minutes as Boot actually played in the Port Adelaide forward half, and they just nailed the goal.
They have. He knows where they are. Ollie Wines like Chad Wingard, his 5th goal this season, and they're 2-1-13. It's a great start as Port Adelaide. North Melbourne yet to score on grandstand. AFL 10 played in the opening term.
The spare Port player in the defensive 50 is really working for them. It is absolutely the opposite for the Kangaroos, and one of the main reasons is because they're so tall down back. As soon as the ball's turned over, the run that's providing, and the spare who is behind the foot is getting involved in the offensive chain through the middle of the ground. Because they're so tall, they can't chase out, and that is a catch-22 in playing your ruck at full forward with Black, Petrie in that forward 50s. You just don't have the leg speed.
I can tell you, I'm watching the Port Adelaide setup. They know exactly what's going on. I look at North Melbourne. They're all pointing to each other. There's confusion down there, unsure what their role is at the moment.
Del Santo plucks it off the deck in the bullseye in the middle of the ground, but he loses control of it. It comes out to Port. And here it's with Hartman. He ducks back into trouble, gets belted to the ground, and will take the high
the other
free kick.
umpire off the play. The umpire closest to the play was blindsided, and he missed the free kick, but the umpire behind the play rightly picked it up.
Hamish Hartlett, brilliant last week at Adelaide Oval in the showdown, won the medal, goes for the short pass, and Corns takes the mark. On the dockside wing, Port 2-1, North yet to score. Beautiful pass, Robbie Gray leading up, takes the mark. Right half forward flank, too far out to score. Crowded forward line. He hoists it up high. Got a chance with Butcher. He takes it. In the middle of the pack.
watch what happens. You get in there long and strong. And really poor defensive work from Kangaroo Small. You know, Robbie Gray, very good overhead, but, you know, they just don't rely on their tall forwards to lead up at the footy and break that play up. Got it in nice and quick. It's not obviously the ideal lace-out pass, but it's a contest.
It's a potent forward line.
John Butcher, the wild man from Mafra. He goes for goal. It starts right, swings back and hits the right-hand goalpost right up at the top. So they've wasted their opportunities. They have been inside 50 plenty of times. It's 8 inside 50s to 2. It's only 2 goals, 2 to 0.
Del Santo to inbound. He's in short. Giving him a lead is McKenzie, who marks in the back pocket. On the dockside, stabs again to Adams. Through his fingers, Graves with him. Could be a turnover. White absorbs some punishment from Hansen. Does well to run away close to the boundary. Handball to Schultz. Look away to White, who kept running. Now he goes backwards to open it up and finds Hartlett. A great user of the footy. Switches to the outer side. A player on his own, big Trengove. Looked to play on, but Curry got on the mark straight away. The momentum halted, but they're still in possession. Again, Port Adelaide. Careful kick towards half forward, attacking it hard. Couldn't take the mark. Pollock at ground level. Hartlett flicked it out now to Lobie. Has to flick a hand pass towards Corns. Tackled by Wells. He's dropped that like a hot spark. That's a free kick the way of North Melbourne, is it? No. Gee, I thought that was poor disposal in the tackle laid by Wells on Corns. It's a boundary throw between wing and half
he
forward.
didn't handball, he didn't kick it. So you tell me how he got rid of it.
Well, he didn't, obviously.
Disposals 55 to 37 in favour of Port Adelaide. And the gap's going to improve here as Wines shrugs a tackle, gets the hand pass away. Hartlett bursts through the middle, kicks long to full forward, massive kick, and it gets there from a long way out. Hamish Hartlett on the run, and Port Adelaide have made a flying start, 3-2 to nothing.
Well, he's having a great game, Hartlett. He kicked that goal, beautiful play and everything like that, but he's been involved in so many things. And just previously, when the ball was switched to him, he just swung around and went bang, 60 metres across the ground. He knew they're set up, that they're playing. They are so confident in what they want to do. The ball almost exclusive in their forward half. They just look so full of confidence. There's a big challenge for the Kangaroos to try and turn this game around now. They've just got to get tight. I've got to tell you, the loose man back is not working. They've just got to get more accountable, start playing a bit of one-on-one football and just get it back to a bit of an arm wrestle at the moment. Superior skills, teamwork of Port Adelaide chopping them apart.
Tap down, free kick against Lady. It'll go to Goldstein. North Melbourne supporters. Bronx, ironic cheers. They get one going their way. I don't think the free kicks are killing them though, really.
4-2 against.
He's on the left, kicks inside, 50. Big pack there. Jonas did well at the fall. Thomas should goal. Rolls it along the ground. North Melbourne get one finally. There's his 5th goal of the season. Northern 1 straight 6. Port 3-2. 20 on Grandstand AFL. 15 played.
Well, it was a free kick in the middle of the ground, and the Kangaroo supporters aren't happy. I guess they've missed one, the umpires. But, you know, again, I'm really happy that Goldstein took it upon himself to get the ball in long. Now, Del Santo's hanging around the back. I want Del to get forward to the centre. Don't hang around the back and get a cheap one. Yeah, it is a nice way to get in the game, but let your half-backs do the running receive from the middle of the ground. Get back and I'll get forward and help your forwards crumb. And, you know, Lindsay Thomas, that's a good reply from last week's poor effort.
Thomas's first touch a goal. A hand pass from Black, his first touch. Adams, Petrie, Hansen and Harvey haven't touched it yet. Lobie in ruck. Wins it. Comes down to Bastanak of the Kangaroos. Hoists it high towards the 50. A push out. No free kick paid. North fans reckon they can't buy a free kick. Comes Port's way. Ponce was too slow. Run down from behind. That is holding the ball. And Adams, with the free kick on the 50, might be getting the Kangaroos' second goal. He gives the hand pass to Harvey. He's just come off the bench. He goes long for goal. His first touch is a goal, just like Thomas's.
Well, this is better, isn't it, from the North perspective? They've got the ball forward to the centre. Guess what? Nothing to do with pretty play. As Scotty mentioned, ball was a long bomb. Give us contest in the camera and then get the ball in quickly and forward pressure. Put the forward pressure on. A great chase down from behind. Spillage. Harvey, the opportunist, gets onto it and kicks a goal. Just tell you, sometimes it's this basic game of footy is the way to play it, especially early in the game where you can actually set the scene. And in the last couple of minutes, they've gone being totally out of the game to now back in the contest.
3 goals to 2 now. Port by 8 points. At least 17 played. North with a great record against Port overall. Have won 20 of 28 meetings. Bounce in the middle. Lobe just beats Goldstein. Rode by Wines. A hand pass along the ground to Corns. Almost had it footed away by Petrie. Trapped it and got the hand pass out to Hartlett. Then to Carlisle on the outside. On our Broadbent on the city side. Kicks high towards the wing. Taking it west off. Flicks it down to Schulz. That was clever. Corns another feeding hand pass. Another one further afield towards Ebert. After Gray got tackled and lost control of it. They're under pressure as North Melbourne's intensity is up. Wells got a hand pass out to Greenwood, who rides a bump. And then they kick towards the wing. No one can take the mark. Curry attacked it well. Big Goldstein's down on the city side. Handballs to Harvey. Mown down from behind by White. Boundary throw in on the outer side. Port by 8 points.
Interesting at that centre bounce. Westhoff behind the footy, so it must be a rule at Port Adelaide. 2 goals against in quick succession. And they'll send a key forward behind the ball.
A lot more zip about the game now in the last 5 minutes or so. From the boundary throw-in, grabbed by Polek. The whistle's gone. It's going to be a free kick Port's way to be taken by Boak. Out in open spaces, Broadbent. Beautiful kick by Boak. The mark to Broadbent. What a kick that is by Broadbent. Monfries dives in and marks 35 from goal.
Well, Broadbent's been the bloke loose behind the play, and he's just been able to do what he wants. He'll go to a player now and again, but he's just, when it's his chance to go forward, and he's been absolutely superb. He's used to the footy, running off, he's directing, everything like that. Just a tracer bullet right into Monfries' tummy.
Angus Monfries going for his second goal on that evidence. Foot skills of Port Adelaide equal to the Hawks. Monfries for goal. It hits the left-hand goalpost, so they've had a couple of posters. Butcher hit the right. So they should be further in front, probably. They're 3-3 to 2 goals.
Yeah, 6 scoring shots to 2. Lead of 9. In short, Thompson doesn't really find the target, but Mullet made it look good. Picks it up and on the left. Hooks towards open territory on the wing. It'll be taken by Jonas. Looks to take on an opponent. Got tagged on the dockside. Handballs to Impey, who bursts through. Kicks towards half forward. Not well directed. North Melbourne mark chipping in Cunnington at half back. Cunnington looks to switch inside defensive 50 and finds a target in Mullet. Now a permanent member of this side in the back half. Half distance kick to Greenwood. So good in the last quarter as a sub against the Dogs. Help get them over the line with 13 possessions. To Cunnington now on the dockside. Kicks down the line. Had it knocked away. Grimer at the fall. Won by Polak of Port Adelaide. A hand pass to White. Now Boak. Kicks over the head of Butcher. But he was behind. He can run onto it quickly now. Attlee tries to run him down. He slips over Butcher. Has to get rid of it. Turns it over the hand pass to Thompson. He runs into trouble. Handballs to Attlee. And now to Thomas. And they're out of trouble with Harvey.
Gee, they did well to get out of that, the Kangaroos. Harvey touches down once. Fires out the hand pass to Mullet off to Gibson. He floats one up the ground. Poor kick. He turned it over. And an easy mark taken near centre field by Westhoff. In he comes to Ebert. Port full of running. Kick by Ebert. Butcher there again goes up. Hands to it, but couldn't complete the mark. And the ball out of play inside the 50. Out in the left forward pocket. With Port leading 3-3-21 to North 2 goals 12. Earlier on, the Giants defeated Melbourne 10-19 to 7 goals 5. The margin 32 points for the Giants' second win of the season.
Boundary thrown Westhoff and Goldstein. Rode by Ebert. Ebert hooks towards full forward. No mark taken by Schulz. Laying a tackle, Monfries sees the ball jar free to Schulz. Hooks around the body. He won't miss that. He doesn't. Good tackling, Monfries. That's what he's there for. He's forward pressure. Outstanding as usual. 21 gone in the opening term. It's Port 4-3-27 North, 2 straight 12.
And really well called. You know, Port Adelaide's forward pressure. Pressure can come in different ways. Pressure with a high ball for the defenders to be able to have to compete and not give a free kick away, or the tackle pressure from Monfries. And you're exactly right. He's had a couple of shots on goal, kick one, hit the post. But I think the coaches will be looking for that tackle pressure to create those opportunities for other players. You know, the Kangaroos, and we can be critical of them at times because I think we expect so much more. The handball chain across the ground, they should be going more direct. When they've got their lead-up forwards like Petrie and Black, they should be going more direct up the middle like Port Adelaide are going their way.
Goldstein having a sit down. Curry in the ruck and beats Lobe on this occasion, but sharked by Wines, who gouges out a hand pass to a contest. Now a fight for the ball. Good tackle laid by Cassisi. Rips the ball free. Still there to be won. North have it again. Greenwood a little kick out. Comes from McMillan off to Wells. And through it goes to Del Santo, forward of the circles. Here's a good sprint race on. Del runs away from Impey, and Impey put him under enough pressure to put him off the kick, and it bounces out of bounds in the right forward pocket alongside the behind post. Jarman Impey in his third game showed a bit of toe.
Sure did. Kangaroos deep into attack. And they have gone forward. They've generally scored at the Lockett end. Lobe taps to the front. Crumb by Gray of Port Adelaide. Left foot kick. Spins towards the boundary. Schultz in pursuit. Attlee there as well. Can't keep it alive. Still at half forward for North Melbourne on the city side.
Perfect result for Port Adelaide. Defensive 50 stoppage. No finesse. Get field position. Stand on the ground. Set up again.
15-point lead to the Power. Again starting well. From behind, Curry, open-handed slap. Collected by Gibson of North Melbourne. A hand pass to Attlee on the outside. Kicks the half forward. Jones collapses the pack. Fists it down. Chance there for Hobbs. He's tackled. Gets a hurried boot to ball that's shinned away by the Kangaroos. Greenwood, then he loses it in the tackle. Port try and get rid of it. White looking to take them on at half-back. He was bursting through a couple of tackles. The umpire says, give it to me, boys. 40 out from North Skull. They trail by 15.
Well, Dan, you said Port are good starters, but they're even better finishers. So North would want to be in front at three-quarter time. This ball spills out wide, taken by Harvey near the boundary line, inside 50. Hand pass to Wells, cornered on the boundary line. Left footer goes nowhere, up and down the spot. Wells bowled over. And the umpire's seen a high tackle, and it's a Kangaroos free kick, and they'll be having a shot for goal.
Well, definitely there.
For Lindsay Thomas, who couldn't get it last week, had an absolute nightmare on Picken, had 3 touches for the entire game. He's already kicked a goal, and he's off the Dennis Lilly run-up, looking for his second. All players in 1/3 of the ground, so it's pretty crowded up there. He's going for the long run-up and will be kicking from about 49 metres. Closed roof. Left foot partly opens the angle. Oh, that's beautiful. It sizzled through the drop punt. He's got 2 in the first quarter. Kangaroos are 3 straight and Port are 4-3.
Well, look, in general play, Port just look better side. They look cleaner. Everything's working for them. North have got their 3 goals just from Gavin Grunt, just by Gavin and making the most of it and staying in the game, And I think it's a real positive for them. Thomas was fantastic. His attack on the ball certainly deserved it and went back and nailed it his second. So it's a good sign for them. They're actually being outplayed, but they're hanging in the game. Everybody has their moments in this game of footy, and it's what you do when you're having your downtime that quite often is the critical component.
The consummate confidence player, Lindsay Thomas.
Well, he's found it in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
2 years ago, he couldn't buy a goal.
Couldn't get near it last week. Good the week before. Starting well today. Bounce in the middle. Goldstein. Lobe bumps him out of it. A hand pass comes out from Wine straight to Goldstein. Couldn't take it cleanly. Cunnington under pressure. Shoveled it out towards Gibson from Wells. And now a quick kick by McDonald. Towards half forward. Thomas is there. It was pitching and he sockets it away with the man in front. Got it down out of Bastanak on the dockside. Slings a hand pass out to Attlee. Defensive give to Mullet all at half back. Chips a little pass and Bastanak runs onto it. 60th consecutive game today for Ryan Bastanak. And he's at half back. Nothing on offer. Hasters decides to switch and delivers to centre half back and Hanson. Most defensive player on the ground at the Coventry end. Plays it on the outer side towards Gibson. Gibson now kicks down the line. It's a beautiful kick. Spots the player, McDonald. Feeds over the top to McDonald. A high hand pass. Did well to rake it in. Gets away from Hartlett. Kicks into the pocket. Great kick to Petrie, who leads forward and marks in his breadbasket. Right forward pocket. Angle of about 15 degrees. Can cut the margin to 3 points close to quarter time for the Roos.
Brilliant work rate from young McDonald. I've been really impressed with the way he's started his AFL career. He's want to get over to the fat side of the ground, and they brought it to him. You know, they instead of going wider again, they went straight down the line to him, and obviously gives him an inside 50 leader.
Petrie for his 3rd goal this year. They've been reasonably accurate, not on that occasion, Your Honour. Missing to the right-hand side, and they're 3-1-19. Quarter 4-3, 27 on Grandstand AFL, 26 gone in the opening quarter.
In the last couple of weeks, that's almost the first time I've seen North Melbourne play like North Melbourne played last year. The movement of the ball, the confidence, everything just clicked then.
In the first 15 minutes, Port were dominating. But North have had a comeback and, in fact, lead the possessions 85-84. They're a mile behind early. And behind on the scoreboard by just 8 points. Ball's gone out at half forward for the Kangaroos. Goldstein gets a fingernail to the boundary throw in. Del Santo works hard over the ball. It comes to McKenzie. He gets it out. Cunnington gets it going forward. Comes to Harvey just outside the 50. He won the game for them last week. Cunnington for his second touch. Puts it out wide. Grabbed by Del Santo. Gee, he looked a bit slow, but he does get the kick away. Chance for Adams in the forward pocket. Running out of room. They close him down. 2 against 2. Tangle of arms and legs. And the Port player's been knocked off.
Yeah, went to ground. I think it was almost sweating on him because he went to ground early on. And as a result, if he couldn't get it out, he was going to be in deep trouble. And I think the North players know that. I mean, the professionalism, if you go to ground, the other players will just hold it in on you and you're done for dinner.
So Adams had it going into that contest. He improves the angle, hooks it back to goal and hits the post. They had 2 posters at one end and 1 at the other end. And the upshot is North go to 3-2 and they trail Port 4-3, 7 the margin, approaching the 28-minute mark.
Careful kick in by Broadbent to Corns. Out of back pocket finds Westhoff. Right half back on the City side. The swing man. A new big term in footy. Westhoff has it now at centre half back. Need a charge down the middle. Half distance pass. Does well to find Homsch. Homsch will zigzag his way through the middle. Runs a long way. Then on the left kicks to half forward. Wingard will be in pursuit. Too far for him. Mullet chops it off the North. Hand pass a bit untidy. Monfries goes in hard. May have been shoved to the ground on that City side. At half forward, ball becomes loose and Atley gets a hand pass off. Looking for Hansen to run onto it. He can't. Couldn't take it cleanly. Now Ebert wins for Port. Good contest. Handballs to Monfries. Bangs long to fall forward. Oh, Schultz! If it hadn't been taken, it was going to be the greatest mark you've ever seen. But the ball hadn't even left the boot of Monfries when he tried to take the screamer. Free kick North Melbourne before Drew Joe.
Alapate Carlisle's come to the bench, just getting a bit of patchwork on his right leg, bit of blood spilling out.
Thompson takes the free kick and finds Greenwood at left half-back flank. They've evened it up here, the Kangaroos. Not quite on the scoreboard yet. Kick by Greenwood up in the direction of Thomas. He's caught behind. The hand pass away comes from Trengove into a contest. It goes out of bounds at the interchange gate right here below us on the dockside wing. It's 4-3-27 to 3-2-20. Port lead by 7 points at the 29-minute mark as the ball spins in. Goldstein had a brief rest. He's back on, wins the hit out. Taken by Ebert, he loses it. Taken by Wells, who goes for a dash. It's a great sight for Daniel Wells. His hand pass is good. Up to Gibson, off to Greenwood. And he puts Harvey in the open in the pocket. Boomer Harvey. He kicked it low. It was marked right on the goal line. Why didn't he elevate it?
Corns receives a hand pass. Gets it out now to Homsch, who's been okay. He then hesitates a bit on that outer side, but lopes a long left footer, which finds the target. Gray running with the flight, made that look simple. Runs down the line on that City side. His kicks a ripper. Monfries marks. He was off. He was. Has to shrug out of a tackle. Kicks to Wingard. But I think he's marked after the siren, has he?
Yeah.
He's marked it just after the siren. Good play by Port around the outer side. Game of footy from one end to the other. We saw one pretty tough affair to watch last week. But more free-flowing tonight, and Port Adelaide lead by 7 points. They looked like they were going to blow North away early, but North hit back in the second half of the term. Port Adelaide on Grandstand AFL, 4-3-27. Kangaroos, North Melbourne, 3-2-20 for Port. Monfries, Hartlett, Schultz and Wines have scored goals, while for the Kangaroos, 2 to Thomas and 1 to Harvey. This is Grandstand AFL and ABC Local Radio, News Radio and Grandstand Digital.
In her new ABC book, A Year on the Farm, renowned cook and frequent local radio guest Sally Wise achieves her dream wish. In 2012, Sally and husband Rob moved to a farm in Tasmania's Derwent Valley. Sally shares stories of daily life on the farm and over 250 delicious and easy recipes. A Year on the Farm, now available from ABC shops, centres and abcshop.com.au.
Sunday footy.
Grandstand AFL.
Push along towards full forward. Schultz in the middle. It slips through at the back. Monfries, easy goal. He read it better than anybody else. Stayed goal side. and gets the first goal of the game after 5 minutes. Swinzer shrugs a tackle, gets the hand pass away. Hartland bursts through the middle, kicks long to full forward, massive kick, and it gets there from a long way out.
He's been involved in so many things, and just previously when the ball was switched to him, he just swung around and went bang 60 metres across the ground. He knew they're set up, that they're playing. They are so confident in what they want to do. The ball almost exclusive in their forward half. They just look so full of confidence.
Big pack there. Jonas did well at the full. Thomas should goal. Rolls it along the ground. North Melbourne to get one finally.
And Adams, with the free kick on the 50, might be getting the Kangaroos' second goal. Gives the hand pass to Harvey. He's just come off the bench. He goes long for goal. His first touch is a goal, just like Thomas.
No mark taken by Schulz. Laying a tackle on free. Sees the ball jar free to Schulz. Hooks around the body. He won't miss that. He doesn't.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Local Radio, online and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, Stan Elves, Scott West and Joe Sullivan. The twilight match between North Melbourne and Port Adelaide. Good contest, 2 under the roof with Port Adelaide 4-3-27, leading the Kangaroos 3-2-20. Scotty and Stan.
Well, Port jumped out of the blocks, didn't they? There's no doubt about a fast starting team, and I can't figure out at this stage, because obviously it was the start of the game, who instigated the spare, but it really worked for Port Adelaide football team. The reason it worked for them was because they actually used the spare in their offensive chain through the middle of the ground. They changed direction of the ball. They used it through the corridor as well. They went quick and got inside 50 to a one-on-one contest. We saw 3 or 4 marks inside 50 to none, or to 2 marks for the Kangaroos, which just meant they had space. They had space early in the game, but to credit to the Kangaroos, they weren't playing well. They grunted a few goals to stay within the contest, and you just got to find a way to score, and at times it's just a handball receive, Harvey, a snap goal, Thomas, and credit to him. I thought he was poor last week with his body language. He's disciplined, but sometimes, it's not about what happened last week, it's about how you react this week, and he's reacted really well in his efforts and work rate. I just want to see the Kangaroos get the ball inside 50 quicker. They've just got the tall targets to be able to mark, and if they allow the spare for Port Adelaide to influence the game continually like he has, they're just not going to be in the game. They're just not going to be able to have the ground cover to be able to stop the run and flow out of the defensive 50, and we know that if Port Adelaide get inside forward 50, they've got a really potent forward line to be able to score.
Yeah, look, it pretty well summed up. I thought that this game was going to be all over about halfway through for all the reasons. It was just played on Port's terms. The difference was not only that who had the footy, but the fact that it was in the Port Adelaide forward half. It was just the way they went about it. They were more positive, Port, aggressive in the run and delivery. The footy, when it went into people like Hartley, Ebert, Boak and Broadbent, they just had it, and somebody was coming all the time, and they gave it to that person. Whereas we saw North were too static and too slow and mucking around with it, and that just showed and what was happening. But then they just seemed to get a bit of a sniff, and I mentioned it was almost for the first time this year I've seen North do something they had before of last year. They got the ball and they took off and they went direct and it went up the other end of the ground. They didn't kick the goal, but it was just the movement. It was the fact that they just showed. And the reality is that they're in this game when you think that inside 50s are 9-15 of the way of Port Adelaide. So if they can get the ball in lot, they get enough of the footy, they get it in their hands, there's no problem from that point of view. They've just got to get back to backing themselves in a lot more. And I think forget the pretty side of it. Just get it in quick. And you said it time and time again, Scotty West, that on this ground, the thing is to, if you can, get the ball outside, but get it to somebody in the middle of the ground. And when you get in the middle of the ground, you've got to take off. You've got to take off. And those big ruckmen, those big forwards, the talls, you must present. You must run into the vision. If you do that, you'll give yourself a chance. So certainly in terms of general play and the better footy, Port Adelaide's way, but on the scoreboard, North have ground their way back into it.
And it could have been a lot worse for the Kangaroos. 15 inside 50s to 9. Just didn't take their opportunities, hit the post a couple of times. But the Kangaroos are winning the clearances. They're just not making the most of the possessions out of the stoppage to get inside. They're going too indirect and not giving their forwards a chance to be one-on-one with their direct opponents.
Might surprise some that contested possessions are about even and uncontested possessions about even. So the upshot is North 100 touches, Port Adelaide 97. but there's a big difference in tackles. North have laid 29 tackles, so they've been able to get hold of some of the Port runners. 29 tackles to 19. So that's a bit of a difference there. The marks to Port Adelaide 22 to 16. The clearances to the Kangaroos 14 to 9. Some of the individuals, Ebert's had 9 touches for Port, 7s each for Hartlett, Boak, Corns and Monfries. And for the Kangaroos, Levi Greenwood, following on his last quarter effort last week when he came on as sub, he leads the way with 10. Wells has had 8 and 7s for McDonald, Cunnington, Del Santo, Mullett, Attlee and Gibson. Dan Lonigan to get us underway for the second quarter.
Port Adelaide by 7 points at the Docklands. Good contest, may it continue. Lobe and Goldstein climb into each other. Won by Gray. Defensive hand pass Polak. Out to Corns now. Back edge centre square. High kick to the wing. Going after it, trying to mark Wines. Couldn't hang on to it under pressure. Gray picks it up at ground level. A hand pass to Wines and now Ebert. All happening on the City side. Ebert kicks Port Adelaide towards half forward over the head of McMillan. At the back, Hansen. Butcher lays a tackle. Both men go to ground. Hand pass came out from Wingard, but falls to Adams of North. And now Hansen. And now Greenwood for another possession. Tumbles one close to the boundary. And it goes out of bounds to wing position.
Again, we set it from a defensive 50 stoppage for Port Adelaide in the first quarter. That's a really good result. Couple of quick hands out of the congested area. Quick kick forward. There was a one-on-one contact. Out of bounds, field position.
Get a chance to set up. Yep.
Sometimes, if you do too well as the sub, you wear the vest for life, as G has shown. But I tell you what, it's been a good decision to put Greenwood in the starting side. He's up to 11 already. North have it this time. Dodging and weaving by McKenzie. He gets clear and kicks out the centre wing. Well played. And the mark taken by Gibson for the Kangaroos. Steers the pass low. Only about 20 or 25 metres. The mark's taken. The hand pass further on. This is good play by the Kangaroos all the way inside the 50. Hand pass goes to Harvey. A low skimming kick. It bounces. I think it might have hit the padding of the post. I'm not sure why blokes these days run the ball along the ground. Cost him a goal in the first quarter. Might have cost him a goal again there.
He's kicked many. He's just kicked through the footy in that stellar career of his. Corns receives the kick in from Polak. He gets the hand pass back and then delivers nicely to Wimpy at half-back on the dockside. Polak, his third possession in the movement, approaching the wing. Kicks to the dockside half-forward flank. Wingard had it fisted away in a good contest. And the North Melbourne player gets up gingerly. That's Hansen, who got up high and may have just jarred the kneecap. And this hard surface here at the Docklands, attacking side of the wing for Port on the dockside. Boundary thrown, falls to the back to Wines. Went to handball to Boak and handballed into his body. Had to try and parry it forward for White, who's then thrown down on a tackle at half forward. Going nowhere. He's shoved in the back. He get a free kick. Left half forward, Matt White. And he has a player on his own at centre half forward, and Polak, the lookalike. Quieter in that first quarter, but started like a bomb in his second term, marking about 55 out, heading for goal at the Lockett end.
Put a different jumper on a bloke and becomes a different player. He's burning Polak.
So whatever the attitude too, I think. Never settled in Brisbane. He did say, by his own admission, he wasn't as professional as he could have been. Here's Polak swinging on the left. It'll head right. And it's through for a behind her. Plenty on it. 4-4, 28 Port, 3-3, 21 North Melbourne and Grandstand AFL. Joe?
Port's captain, Trevor Spoke, has just come to the bench. He's just a little bit ginger. Doctor just looking him over. It appears to be just limping a little.
Scott Thompson kicks in for the Kangaroos. Del Santo marks in the back pocket. He works it on where it is taken by McDonald. Well, they've run into trouble at half-back. They get out of it. Del Santo for the second time in the movement. The hand pass doesn't find the target, and it's been turned over inside the centre square. White receives a hand pass and gets it back from Homsch. White goes laterally out wide to Corns. Back to Homsch. He's bowled over and a good tackle by Thomas, fighting out of his division. Harvey a lightning hand pass, but misses a target. Lobe gathers. Comes now to Jonas. Kick by Jonas towards the 50. Good defence by Hansen to get up and thump the ball to the boundary line and win a boundary throw-in. Port 4-4-28. Lead North 3-3-21 and 4 minutes played second quarter.
Yes, Cunnington gets up now, Stan. On that City side, boundary throw-in, 55 around from Port's goal at the Lockett end on that City side, and Goldstein wins it down. Hand pass Wines to Westhoff. Heard the voice of his teammate Gray, didn't get there. in the road. Wells, a hand pass to Grimer, who's issuing instructions to McKenzie, who he handball to, and then he gets the kick partially smothered. Ricochets to Ebert, now to Gray on the outside to Ebert. 45 out, Ebert goes for the boomerang right to the teeth of goal. Did he run out of bounds? I think he might have.
I think it was a crowd call. The crowd went, hey!
Boundary umpire was trailing behind. He was about 10 or 15 metres away.
I think it's hometown decision, assisted by the spectators.
Toss back in, right on attacking 50. Port into attack. 7 points in front. Early stages, second quarter. From behind Lobe. North try and clear it, and Cunnington will take the clearance and get one high and get a free kick.
Ben Cunnington in the back pocket. Squares the ball to Harvey near the defensive goal square. He finds Bastanak by hand. Bastanak off the foot now. Beautiful ball. McMillan takes the mark at right half back. They've opened him up here, but no, not well played. He puts it at the feet of Hansen, who was good enough to tidy it up. And now a poor hand pass by Gibson. Misses the target in Wells, and the ball bullets out of bounds on centre wing. Was looking good there for a while, but mucked up eventually.
I'd like to see the breakdown of the stats in this quarter, kicks to handballs. I reckon we've had about 5 kicks and about 55 handballs.
From the throw-in comes to Hartlett. Hair flowing behind. Weaves through the pack. Delivers to Butcher, but it's cut off beautifully by Thompson. He's a gun back there.
The idea was right, but Butcher was just so far behind Thompson. He read it so well. Got it to Mullet defensively, and likewise to Hansen on the dock side. He'll deliver in short now. And it's taken by Thompson. Right on the boundary. And he'll go in short, and he'll find McKenzie, who just had a couple of metres on empty. Slightly behind the wing on the dock side. North heading towards the Coventry end. What's happening with the score at the moment, early stages of this quarter, just a behind a piece, and he's inboard now to Greenwood for another possession, which will be number 13 for Levi. And his pass sets up Adams on the chest. He in half distance, just chipping it around North, looking for the right option eventually. Kicks towards half forward patch. Adams fisted away from behind Lobe, trying to get in front Jonas. Thomas was the man. He was fighting hard for the footy with it ground level. It's out of bounds, and then he goes up to Monfries and a bit of pushing and shoving. Boundary throwing. North just into attack.
Always looking at the umpire for a free kick, Lindsay Thomas. Boundary throw in. Goldstein. Good tap, but it's sharked by Broadbent of Port. Off to Polek. Oh, Hartlett was blindsided. Slipped at high tackle of Petrie, and the umpire pays the free kick for the high tackle. He made it count, Drew. Scoreboard giving us the last 10 clangers, and Port Adelaide probably have made more of the last 10. This pass off the foot is at the bootlaces of Wines. He can't get it.
If Dalsana didn't throw that on me, I'd go, hey.
Ball finished up out of bounds, and we get a throw in right below us. Port 28, lead North 21. Hello, the umpire's been bowled over, and he's cleaned up big prop.
So the player will be fined.
Well, why would the player? The player,
I know
it was the ruckman going in for the ball. It was a ball up. That's a boundary throw in.
But I mean, the umpire doesn't get fined. It's the player that gets fined, because it's about the player taking more care. But you're right, Stan, the umpire needs to take more care and be more aware of what's around him.
Well, if the player is to pay a penalty, it is Lobe, who absolutely flattened the umpire.
So it's out of bounds, right in front of our commentary position. On the wing, dock side of the ground. Lobe and Goldstein. Lobe taps it to Monfries, who can't control it. Atlee's there, got tackled. Comes out to Corns, flicks a good hand pass on the outside to Broadbent, then running by his boat. Kicks to Westhoff. What's he doing on his own? 40 metres in space. He'll kick long. Impey's trying to run for him, and mark. He does. Oh. No, it's punched away late. I reckon he had that liner. Late punch by McDonald, but I reckon a bit too late for the umpires. Giving it to North Melbourne. It's a rush behind.
Umpire, that is a shocker.
Oh, that is a terrible. He marked that.
He marked it, and then the bloke came in after he marked it, knocked it out of his hands.
Turnover anyway.
Oh. Yeah, but they should be kicking on a goal.
Yep, that was definitely a goal. Now here's a mark near the goal square to Port Adelaide, and hopefully Schultz will make amends, but it will never make amends for the goal that should have been and never was.
On a tough angle.
Had enough purchase, didn't he?
The show about he's a back pocket player. He's run all the length of the green. Don't get too many opportunities like that off the goal line.
It was a clean clunk. and was punched out of his hands when he had it firmly in his grasp. Okay, what can Schultz do? One step to open the angle, and he hooks back towards goal and kicks.
Silence.
Good effort. Port 5-5-35, North 3-3-21.
Well, it's a bit like the first quarter where just a real arm wrestle stuff. Both sides going at each other and trying to get that ascendancy and break it open. And again, like in the first quarter, it's the goal that goes to Schulz. And as you know, his trademark with the kick that coming from Westhoff in a pack. Schulz has come up, his third man up, and he just jumped up. A little bit of a juggle mark, but a great one. The North players tried to corral him with his kick, but he just took that one little step inside, dropped it onto his left boot and kicked a very nice goal for them.
So the lead out again to 14. Some work for North to do. That bounce is not outstanding. It favours Levy. Goldstein did all right, but it's crumbed by Wines. He shoved away as he gets his boot to ball to half forward. Then Wingard hooks it out of mid-air, makes a good contest for Broadbent to arrive on the dock side and keeps it in, then kicks high, but it's all North Melbourne. It should be a comfortable mark just behind the wing to Cunnington. Told to play on, ran off the mark and kicks terribly as Montfreezer confronted him. An easy mark
taken by He's got a bit of a problem, Cunnington. He doesn't get back off the mark. He stands flat-footed and too often... Oops, there's a chance.
Oh, Broadbent dropped an easy mark. Harvey puts him under pressure. Corns comes in to tidy up. Through Hartland it goes back to Broadbent, who fumbles again. He's made two blues there and the ball's finished up out of bounds.
He acknowledged his teammates too, He knew.
Well, he's nearly been best on Brown Broadbent. I know he's been...
He's had a massive impact.
Well, he's been free behind the footy a fair bit, but you know his ability to be able to read the play and get through the middle of the ground has been really important for Port Adelaide.
At the start of the season, he started as sub and came on and burned, didn't he? In the last quarter when he got a go, and so he's cast the vest off and now is in the starting 18. This ball's kicked end on end and goes out of bounds on the dockside wing. Port leading by 14 points at the 11-minute mark of the second quarter. Earlier, the Giants beat Melbourne by 32 points.
Levy and Goldstein, Levy to the front. Hartley gets a hand on it, falls out of Mackenzie of North to Cunnington now on the non-preferred right. Kicks to half forward. Curry's there, but giving him some Curry Tringove. Now off the side of the boot, wobbly. Kick Butcher read it best, but dropped the mark. He maybe should have taken it. He threw that out.
He's finally seen one. He's finally seen the throw. It was... Johnny Butcher wasn't even subtle, mate.
No, he knew. He just hoped he'd get away with it.
He thought he was playing tunnel ball back at state school.
Grimer stabs it past now to McDonald. McDonald in short to Greenwood, who's close to the boundary. It was Mackenzie, actually. Now he gets a kick smothered too close to Weebert. Rebounds to the former Eagle. He stabs a little pass along the ground to Gray. Sweeps a long hand pass outside to Inty. Didn't see Wells come. He strips it of him. He's front edge centre square for North. Here's Atley now fending off tackles. Flicks a hand pass to Wells. Dangerous on the outside now to Cunnington. Steps around an opponent. Kicks inside 50 for North Melbourne. Good kick. Petrie, yes! Berggrad brings it to ground. Good play by Wells, just lack of awareness by young Impey Zen in the middle of the ground, and he gets it over the top, and North Melbourne will kick a goal. On the end of it is Mullet, and the Kangaroos get one against the trend. He got out the back, Mullet, 4-3-27, got met late, but still scored. North 8 points behind, Porter 5-5-35, 13 plays.
Yeah, look, it's just unfortunate Impey didn't see him, obviously he had come from behind him, but just had a little bit of game... Probably lack of awareness there that he was going to be chased down from behind because they were off to the races. But actually got to go back to the Butcher situation. He didn't need to throw it. He had support around. It's just a really poor decision for him to do that. If he had got the ball out, they had support around him, they would have been going inside forward 50, but he decided to throw it and off they go.
Joe.
He's been a substitution, but for the umpires, you might remember Jason Armstrong was the umpire who was cleaned up by Matthew Lobe. He's just limped down into the rooms and onto the field is Andrew Talbot taking his place in the bright yellow.
From the centre bounce, Kangaroos going backwards. Cunnington fires out the hand pass to Mullet, the goal scorer. Further hand pass goes to Mackenzie. He puts it out in front of Goldstein, the big fella. He bends down and has a bit of a fumble. Can't pick up the bouncing ball, and he fumbles it all the way to the boundary line. And we have a throw in.
But I like that for Goldstein. He's challenged Lobe. He got out on his bike, saw the turnover at half-back, got out in the wing to try and be a option through the middle of the ground. Just probably need to hit the 200-centimetre boy.
Port leads by 8 points. Goldstein wins in the ruck. Harvey has a bit of a fumble, and Port have it. Wines has bumped off it, and he's been bumped off a few times today. Comes to Corns. His hand pass up to the logo. Hospital ball. Ball, say the North crowd. And the umpire said the player is in there being held when not in possession, and it's going to be a Port free kick, and Cassisi is going to take it. The inside 50s at 21-11. Port Adelaide have been on their forward line twice as much as North, and yet the margin is only a goal and a bit.
Nice kick by Honch. Another drop mark, aren't they? Falls to Monfrees. It was dropped by Carlisle. Handballs inside to Wines. Back to Monfrees. Handballs to Westhoff. Under pressure. Shoving the back. Port free kick. See, players are hand passing to other players who are very, very hot. Monfrees lucky to get away with that.
It's like Scotty said, it's almost if an epidemic happens. You know, the handball to kick ratio, some start to do it, and even though it's not working, they continue to do it. And yet anybody would have realised that both sides, when they controlled the game in the first quarter, it was use of the footy by foot.
Marginally left of centre half forward Monfrees. He's kicked one. He's now kicked two. Splits the middle. The former Bomber, North Melbourne supporters, boos resonating around the Docklands, and they get the one back that Mullet managed to reduce the margin with a minute or so ago. 6-5-41 Port, North 4-3-27 on Grandstand AFL. Joe Sullivan.
Just keeping an eye on Lockie Hansen from the Kangaroos. In the first quarter, he probably had the physio working on his upper right thigh for a good 5 minutes. He's just walking the boundary at the moment with the physio by his side, so we'll just keep an eye on him as the game progresses.
Just to back that point up, Stan, both teams had near on 15 to 20 more handballs and kicks up to this part of the game.
Anyway, good afternoon of the football under the closed roof. 16-minute mark of the second quarter, and Port by 14 points. Curry wins in the middle, gets it down to Cunnington for the Kangaroos. His kick inside half forward. It comes off hands, and a snap for goal by Black is good. Aaron Black gets his first goal. He's only had 2 touches. He's made the most of them. Port 6-5 and North 5-3.
I was going to bring a point up before. I think it's useless having 2 200-centimetre players in your team and not giving one an opportunity in the ruck. He's played virtually the whole game at full forward. This kid can ruck, and he can get around the ground. And what he does is he actually throws something at Port Adelaide that they haven't seen. Okay, they would have done their homework on him, but Goldie does 85% of the ruck work. This kid can ruck. I remember last week he actually come into the middle of the ground and made a bit of a difference.
I was a bit critical of one of those players before and what he did, but I tell you what, Cunnington's effect in the round the packs in this quarter has been very, very big.
Good inside play, Ben Cunnington. Now the middle, another one. Wines wins a clearance for Port Adelaide. Stand start, kick towards half forward. Monfrees wanders after it, gets the hand pass out to Schulz on the up. Schulz can't control it. Bit of fancy footwork with him and Thompson. It'll be a boundary throw in on the wing. Just marginally attacking side for Port Adelaide at the Lockett end. On the city side, well populated with Kangaroo supporters. Be feeling a little bit better after a sluggish start. Westhoff, tap, rode by Gray, held up Cassisi, hand pass on the outside to Poke, the skipper for Port Adelaide into the pocket. Wingard tried to take the mark, not having a huge effect yet.
He's got a free, I think, over the shoulder, a bit high.
Over the shoulder, yep.
Early. Now, you give a free in a touch like that, and then a bloke clunks a mark, gets belt out his hands, and you don't pay it. Sometimes you just wonder why the fans do get a little bit confused in this game of footy.
Yeah, look, technically it was there, but it was very, very slight. McMillan, the culprit. He has to run around here right on the boundary to hook it. We know he can kick a goal, Wingard. It's a good effort, but he's missed. Left-hand side, went too far behind. And Porter 6-6-42 on Grandstand AFL. North 5-3-33. They're powered by 9 points at the 18-minute mark.
Hope you're enjoying it on Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, News Radio and Grandstand Digital. Bright orange boots of Nick Del Santo kick in for the Kangaroos. Short and Grimer marks in the back pocket. Static. Grimer goes for a bit more distance. Here's Black up the ground. Uses his body well. It's rowed by Curry, tallest rover you've ever seen. And a beautiful pass puts the ball out in front, and a chance for Greenwood to run onto it. It did pitch in front of him, but he gets the bouncing ball. Levi, his pass off the left, looking for Gibson. It bounces towards the forward 50. He gathers near the boundary line, hooks it back. Petrie is there. Nearly a collision. No mark taken. Tackle laid by Wells. Kangaroos fans want a free kick right in front of goal. The umpire is circling. Nothing doing. It'll be a baller.
Gee, I thought he might give it because the Port Adelaide player actually tried to turn out of the tackle, so he's almost had prior opportunities. Very lucky to get out of that.
Restop beats Curry. Thomas spinning by goal. Great play, Thomas. That's what you're there for, son. He read it to perfection. 3 goals to Thomas. North within 3 points. 6-3-39. Porter 6-6, 42 at the 20-minute mark.
Classic forward, small forward goal off a stoppage. You don't see too many of them. You don't see too many clean off the hands of the ruckman. But Westhoff tapped it to him. Very poor defensive work from the Port Adelaide small defenders. You just got to be goal side. You've got to be goal side, hand in the chest, elbow in the chest. If he gets it going away from goal, well, so be it. But you can't give him that dangerous space, which is between the contest and the goals.
Well, he's just a different player to last week, isn't he? 3 goals already, but it's the manner in which he's done it. It's been far more positive. Really great attack on the ball. He's played more like the crumbing forward than a couple of weeks ago against Essendon. He was good in the air, but today he's played a much better role, I think.
A lot of energy today.
Value for work. 4 kicks, 3 goals. Here come the Kangaroos out of the middle. Cunnington gathers and pokes a pass wide of Petrie. He's worked off the ball. And well done by Carlisle. He shares it in defence, and Carlisle kicks down the line. Gee, mark should have been taken there by Ebert. Slipped through his fingers and over the boundary line out, just over half-back flank. 42-39. Port, the way they started, they looked as though they were going to win by 15 goals. And still their inside 50s are 22-14, so they've had a lot of the play. And North have made the most of their chances. It's worked down to Harvey here. He gets the hand pass to Gibson. Out wide it comes. Bastanak centres the ball. Inside centre half forward. Good pick up by Petrie. Hand pass to Wells. Bit of magic here. Wells puts the pass out. Gibson takes the mark. It's McMillan. McMillan not far off centre and only 25 metres out from goal. I was standing by for a little bit of Cyril magic. I thought that Wells was moving around onto his left and we were going to see a repeat of something that Cyril did on Friday night, but he gave it off.
Oh, the Kangaroos have been very good away from the stoppage situation as Port were in the first quarter, so they've reversed that. They're winging the clearances and they're getting their forwards an opportunity one-on-one.
Jamie McMillan for goal. He kicks truly and puts the Kangaroos in front. Approaching the 22-minute mark of the second quarter.
Well, it's exactly right. Just mentioned in that first quarter when Port Adelaide playing all over them, that at least the Kangaroos had to hang in, minimise the damage, because we know in this football game that what happens, everybody will have their turn. And it's what you do within that period of time. And just when we thought that Port were really going to grab this game, the 16-minute mark, Black kicks the first goal, and now all of a sudden in a few minutes they've actually kicked 3 in a row and they've hit the lead.
And the scoreboard says, make some noise, Kangaroo supporters. That's what they're doing. Can Port respond? Been able to a lot in the last year or so under Ken Hinkley's guidance. The tap down Goldstein attacking at Del Santo. A curry it was. Handball to Bastanak. Kicks inside 50. That was nearly a mark for the Kangaroos. The aforementioned Goldstein lunged forward. Adams is there, but a lot of Port Adelaide players around it. Thomas pinches it from them. Got around one opponent, not the second. Got held up. 30 metres out from goal. Hand pass comes out from Black. Pinched by Port Adelaide. They kick into the middle of the ground, and that's a good mark to Monfries, who attacked it hard. And Port need to get going as they trail by 3 points.
Dan Curry's not the worst in the ruck. When he's been given his chance, going okay. Butcher has it, having marked it right half forward. Squares the ball into Hartlett, inside the centre square. Can kick it a mile, but this is about a mile and a bit. Kick by Hartlett to Butcher, who gets caught behind, and he is outmarked clearly by Hansen.
Sometimes a forward needs to become a defender. Bring the ball to the ground.
Hansen across the ground of McMillan. Here he is in the last line of defence, having just kicked the goal to put him in front. Over the top to Bastanak. He puts his pass very wide. Ball sat okay for McDonald. And he just hoists it high with a spinning ball. Not good for the forwards. Jonas works it to Broadbent. He loses control. Oh, Thomas is caught high. Got one round the chin and will take a free kick on centre wing against Jonas. And the umpire has seen some blood, and he says to Jonas, who looked as though he'd given out the blood, Jonas off the ground with a blood rule.
Port Adelaide just need to get their hands on the footy here at the moment and take a little bit of heat out of the speed of the game. You know, no one likes to see the chipping the ball around, but they just need to maintain possession, get some uncontested marks just to get the flow of the game going back in their way. Then they can go back to their quick style. They're trying to match them speed for speed at the moment, and it's just not working. Kangaroos have got on top of them.
Actually, Thomas got some blood treatment, but it was Jonas's blood, I reckon.
North switch, Hansen has it. And they go to the outer side. Taken by Grimer. Grimer kicks long inside 50. Homps was on his own in the end. Should have marked. He went to punch. Rode by Mullet. Couldn't take it cleanly. Hartlett ripped it from him and saw it out of bounds. Joe?
You get an episode of Game of Thrones down here. There is so much blood. Tom Jonas, as you mentioned, off a cut just above his right eye, getting patched up as we speak.
30 metres around. North doing all the attacking. Levy pushed his opponent into that one. It spills out now to Polak, who attacks it hard for Port Adelaide. Did well to regain his feet and got a hand pass off to Wines. Kicks to the outer side. Schultz and Grimer having a good battle. Grimer probably winning that at the moment. Punched at the ground, saw it out of bounds. Slightly attacking side of the wing for North on the City side. They're on top at the moment. Kicked the last three. They're 7-3-45. Porter 6-6-42. 25 travelled in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Port looking to remain undefeated, and the Kangaroos looking for their second win in a row. Ebert gets a hand pass through the pack. It comes to Hartlett. Oh, there's a smother put on Schultz, and he's come up limping. That doesn't look good. Kangaroos get the ball to the boundary line on the wing, and Jay Schultz is hobbling.
He had that ankle problem during the pre-season, so it was a good effort to get up for the start of the season. So
yeah, Del Santo smother.
At the boundary throw-in, Curry in ruck. Works it across to Gibson, who has a bit of a fumble, but it's going North's way. Heavy tackling by the Kangaroos here. And as they're holding the ball, it's going to be a Kangaroos free kick. And that's been one of the highlights of their game. They've laid 46 tackles to 33, and they put the heat on Port.
Boomer's gone round the back and kicked it in long.
He receives a hand pass, long kick to full forward, tapped down by Homps, rode by Adams, tackled, front on him from behind, good play Cassisi, lost it, can't find a handle, at centre half forward McDonald, he got swamped as well. Homps does the horsey ride, gets a hand pass out to Gray, hooks around the body, Grubbers clear of defensive 50 to Monfries, hooks towards the wing on the dock side, trying for it to pitch and settle for him as Schultz. He does, and gets gobbled up in a Hansen tackle straight away, right in front of Joe Sullivan, just inside the boundary, and there'll be a ball up.
Gee, don't tell me this game hasn't played between the ears, because a lot of North players who just look flat-footed and out of it, boy, they are up and on their toes at the moment.
Tapped down by Wines, who was the ruckman, to Boak, who's well held by Goldstein, who forces him out of bounds in an attempted tackle. There'll be a boundary throw-in.
I'm not sure why the umpire backs back into the middle of the ground. I know we've seen one come on. Why don't you back towards the boundary? They won't get it then.
When Schultz did his ankle, he was on
somewhere.
It's a Kangaroos free kick in the ruck. Goldstein against Lobey. Umpires might pick on Lobey because he's the bloke who cleaned up the umpire. In the middle of the ground, McMillan overruns a vital one. It's grabbed by Wingard. His hand pass to Broadbent. Little hand pass, terrific. Out to Westhoff, who kicks towards half forward. Monfries marks and kicks to the full forward. Ball pitches in short to Butcher. And he's ridden into the ground as he's holding it. North fans wanting a free kick. Couldn't be. And the umpire comes in to ball it up. Anyway, there's plenty to yell about this game. It's a beauty. 45-42, North by 3 points, closing in on half-time.
This time last week, the Dogs at North had kicked 2 goals each through, right, close to half-time. Harvey gets a hand pass on the outside, pumps one to Gibson, who'll switch in the defensive 50, well inside the defensive 50 to Bastanak, a couple to beat, doesn't sit for him. Westhoff has won, he might have won that one, Impey was the other. In the end, Impey worries his opponent out of it. That's Thompson, handballs to Westhoff. Thompson tried to smother it, kicks inside 50, McKenzie there to intercept. Gray wins it, handballs to Wines, snaps around the body, kick didn't have enough on it, no one can mark it, ground level, rode by Del Santo. He'll save the day for North. They lead by 3 points. His kick's not great, towards the half-forward flank on the outer side.
It just didn't come off. He tried to pretend it was a mongrel kick. He dropped on the outside of his boot trying to go for the boundary, disguised it. He just didn't hit it properly.
In short to Wines, that's what we pay the big bucks, Stan. And Wines has got the mark hard on the boundary, right half forward. This to put Port Adelaide back in front. We know he can kick goals. He's kicked a few already this year. 5. This will really test the youngster. He's been up to it most of his short career so far.
Poster.
And another poster. That was a terrific effort. Just the big white thing was in his road. So another behind to Port.
That must be 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 for Port.
Port have had 3. They've kicked 6 goals, 7, and 3 of their behinds have been posters.
2 points behind North Melbourne, close to half-time.
Thompson kicks into Del Santo in the back pocket. You could see him if the lights were off in those boots. Which is not a great kick to half. Bounced. He was only about 20 metres away. Gathered by Del Santo. Another underground ball. Now they have it. Atley with pace, but a terrific tackle laid on him. He's dispossessed. Polak gathers for Port and short passes. Monfries takes the mark and he's about 40 metres from goal.
Yeah, well, a couple of poor disposals from Del Santo. It just proves even the best kicks in the competition can't kick off one step. You've got to get momentum through the ball so that it gets to your target. Okay, maybe not every time, but you minimise the effective or the ineffectiveness by doing it.
Monfries for his 3rd goal, and this to put Port back in front. Kicks from 40. Oh, he's hit the post again. It's 4 posters.
Does he have 3 of them?
No, 2.
2. 6-8-44 to 7-3-45. They're a point behind. I wonder whether those posters might cost them at the end of the day. If it does, we've got a thriller on our hands. That's what we want. Scott Thompson's very decisive. Eventually chips. No, he didn't. Did he go too far? I think he went too far. As he bowled a no ball, he has. He was so indecisive, and he thought, I'll go out of side, I'll go down the guts, I might go to the dockside. And in doing that, he was creeping so close to the line, and he went too far. He'll be thrown up in the goal square. Lobe the tap. No one to run onto it for Port Adelaide. And in the end, it's good play by McKenzie to get around an opponent, but he spiral punts it aimlessly on the chest of Tringo. Front edge centre square for Port Adelaide.
Get it in.
A trail by a point. He will get it in, Scotty, towards the teeth of goal for the Power, but it's all North Melbourne, and Hansen gets back and takes a comfortable mark. No one for Port Adelaide went up then, and Hansen will clear to the outer side, but 2-on-1.
Ebert nearly took a mark in front of Gibson, but not quite. Gibson sees it to the boundary line as we tick down 22 seconds remaining to half-time. Joe.
Just keeping an eye on Jay Schultz. He's probably been off on the bench for the last 4 minutes. We know he sort of hobbled off with a bit of an ankle problem. He's gone for one walk through. Not much movement or joy at this point in time, and no sign of him coming back on as yet. So we'll keep an eye on Jay Schultz.
He's got the half-time break coming up in about 15 seconds. The ball is at right half forward, and holding the ball, Kangaroos player, Thomas. And the free kick quickly taken for Port. Back to Westhoff in the middle of the ground. He got it from Homps, and the crowd not happy. The free kicks have levelled up. They're 11 all. The scores are nearly level. It's North leading by a point at half-time. 7-3 to 6 goals 8. It's 45 to 44. Different first half than the first half we got last week when North played the Bulldogs here. Good conditions, and I'm enjoying the game of footy.
Well, it's been a contest. That's the great thing. Certainly it started in the first quarter. It was going to be all Port Adelaide. They just looked fantastic. North had nothing going for them. But to North Melbourne's credit, they've just worked their way back into the game. And really in the finish, just looked the best. I mean, I must allow Port Adelaide had those 4 posties. But I thought a couple of significant things, just how things can get them going. Big Curry, you know more about him, Scotty, but I think he's effective in that ruck when he went in there, and his follow-up and what he was doing is fantastic. Plus Cunnington just sort of led the way, and a few others jumped on board. And, just they've got great service from all their players. They've just got so much confidence. Thomas is looking a better player, and in the finish it was Port Adelaide who were under enormous pressure and had to sort of fight tooth and nail to get themselves back in the contest.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with the Curry call. It was halfway through that quarter. I looked down there again, and he's just sitting at full forward. It's a waste having him there just as a forward and a pinch hit ruckman. I understand Goldstein's the number 1 ruckman, but I thought they won the next 3 centre bounces when he was in there, went inside forward 50, and I think they kicked 2 goals 1 while he was in the ruck. you're right, the momentum of the game totally switched to the Kangaroos. I think the fact that they pressured the ball, pressured the Port Adelaide players into mistakes, handball mistakes around the contest, and that was a real advantage for Port Adelaide early in the game, where they got it away from the congestion with really good handballs and plays into space, and they turned the tables on them. They got the ball out of the congestion, got it into space, and got it inside forward 50 to one-on-one contest. And we've said all the way along, you can get it one-on-one contest to good forwards. They either create a contest and a crumb, or they mark the ball, and that's what happened for the Kangaroos in that quarter. You're right about Lindsay Thomas. I was hard on him last week, but we expect more from him because he's such a good and important player for the Kangaroos. I think he's brought a lot of energy. He's kicked 3 goals, but I think it's more than the 3 goals for me. I think it's the way he's gone about it, the tackle pressure, and just the way he's pressured the Port Adelaide forwards into mistakes. Defenders into mistakes, sorry.
So half-time, good half of footy on Grandstand. North 7-3-45, 4 goals to 2 in that quarter. Port, they did kick 2-5, and again found the woodwork, the post on a couple of occasions like they did in the opening stanza. Port a 6-8-44, the lead a solitary behind. Goal kickers for North Melbourne. Thomas has 3, 1 apiece to Harvey, McMillan, Black and Mullet. For Port Adelaide, 2 each to Schultz and also Monfries, and 1 each to Hartlett and Ollie Wines. After this, Essendon and Carlton, a night match in Melbourne. School holidays now, so that should attract a big crowd. 2 traditional rivals. Big game for the Blues, 0-2. The Bombers unlucky against the Hawks last week, and they won their first game against the Roos. They've had a good start to the year, so it should be a ripping match on Grandstand. But we look forward to the second half here. North in front by a point. Let's see the latest now from ABC News.
ABC News read by Mark Adenall. The Australian head of the search for the missing Malaysia Airlines flight says it's still too soon to say whether pulse signals that have been detected belong to the plane's black box. Retired Air Chief Marshal Angus Houston says RAAF assets have been deployed to examine the area in the southern Indian Ocean where Chinese ships reported hearing the sounds. Mr Houston also says corrected satellite data has led investigators to concentrate on the southern part of the search zone. He says the pulse signals are an important new lead but urged caution.
This is an important and encouraging lead, but one which I urge you to continue to treat carefully. We are working in a very big ocean and within a very large search area, and so far, since the aircraft went missing, we have had very few leads which allow us to narrow the search area.
The Foreign Minister, Julie Bishop, has moved to explain how Australia views its relationship with Japan. The Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, is in Tokyo at the start of his trade mission to North Asia, during which he will also visit South Korea and China. Mr Abbott last year described Japan as Australia's best friend in Asia and a strong ally. Ms Bishop told Insiders Australia has a number of close friends in Asia.
You can have an ally, but the capital A ally is the United States. The only treaty ally that we have is with the United States under the ANZUS alliance, but small A allies abound in Southeast Asia.
The Greens are calling on the major parties to support a cap on election campaign spending in the wake of the West Australian Senate rerun. Federal MP Clive Palmer's advertising during the campaign prompted the Prime Minister to accuse him of buying votes. On initial counting, the Palmer United Party is on track to win one of the 6 Senate positions. The Greens leader Christine Milne says it's highlighted to people what a wealthy individual can do.
This is for an individual who has a vested interest in the fossil fuel sector. He's a coal billionaire and he's now getting into Parliament a team of people who will be voting on matters that have a direct effect on his profits or otherwise.
The New South Wales Environment Minister Robin Parker has given qualified support for a proposed 4-storey hotel in Sydney's Domain. As Jean Kennedy reports, the opposition says the development is inappropriate.
The 150-room hotel is included in a draft master plan for the Royal Botanic Gardens and Domain areas and would be built alongside the existing car park in the Domain. The Botanic Gardens head, Kim Ellis, says it's not intrusive.
Very light on the landscape with rooftop gardens that allow us to regain some green space.
The opposition's environment spokesman, Luke Foley, is no fan.
The Botanic Gardens is no place for a 4-storey hotel.
But the Environment Minister, Robin Parker, says that's a misrepresentation.
This
plan sees a hotel on the outskirts of the domain, nowhere near the gardens themselves, and there's already commercial activities right next to it.
However, she says it's too early to rule anything in or out in terms of approval.
Former VFL player and now Victorian Sports Minister Damien Drum says the AFL is doing enough to prevent players suffering serious neck and spinal injuries. Albury Tigers player James McQuillan is in a critical condition in hospital after suffering serious neck injuries in a game yesterday. Heathcote Saints' Grant Ford was also taken to hospital following a head clash in a game in central Victoria, but he has been cleared of serious injury. The incidents have prompted calls for rule changes, but the minister says the game has got it right.
I think the sport as a whole has been very proactive in bringing forward its rule changes to assure, to the best of its ability, that it protects the player going for the ball and protects his head and his neck region.
In athletics, discus thrower Danny Samuel says she's confident of claiming a Commonwealth Games medal after setting a new personal best. Samuels threw 66.81 metres to win the national championships in Melbourne today, beating her previous best throw by more than a metre. Samuels won the World Championships in 2009, but didn't attend the Commonwealth Games 4 years ago. Samuel says she's changed her training program in the past few months.
Back to basics, back to shorter gym sessions. Incorporating shot put's been a big part of my training program as well. Just all these little things where you kind of work out what you need and what you don't need.
To the national weather for Monday, Sydney a possible morning shower 24, Melbourne partly cloudy 25 degrees, Brisbane a shower or two 28, in Perth partly cloudy a top of 27, Adelaide a possible late shower 26, Hobart partly cloudy 21, in Canberra partly cloudy 20, and Darwin a shower or a storm in the afternoon, a top of 32 degrees. ABC News.
Hey, going somewhere?
Oh, hello, ABC Radio app. I'm catching the bus. Want to come?
Yeah. What do you want to listen to?
How about some music?
What do you feel like today? Classic? Jazz? Unearthed? Country? Dig music? Triple J?
Dig music, please.
Let's go.
Take ABC Radio with you on your phone. Download the free ABC Radio app and choose from 19 ABC radio stations, including 6 specialty music stations, wherever you go.
Sunday footy.
Grandstand AFL.
Kicks inside 50 for North Melbourne. Good kick. Petrie, yes! Berggrant brings it to ground. Good play by Wells. Just lack of awareness by young Intizen in the middle of the ground. And he gets it over the top and North Melbourne will kick a goal. On the end of it is Mullet.
Gets it down to Cunnington for the Kangaroos. He's kick inside, half forward. It comes off hands and a snap for goal by Black. He's good.
Westhoff beats Curry. Thomas spinning by goal. Great play, Thomas. That's what you're there for, son. He read it to perfection. Been up to it most of his short career so far. And another poster. That was a terrific effort. Just the big white thing was in his road.
Port have had 3. They've kicked 6 goals, 7, and 3 of their behinds have been posters. Monfries for his 3rd goal, and this to put Port back in front. Kicks from 40. Oh, he's hit the post again! It's 4 posters.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Local Radio, online and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, Stan Elves, Scott West and Joe Sullivan with you at the Docklands under the roof. And North Melbourne, who trailed by 7 points at quarter time. The way they started, it looked like they were going to get absolutely belted by Port Adelaide, but they fought back well, trailed by 7 at quarter time, as I mentioned, and they're in front with a 4-goal-2 effort in the second term. 7-3-45. Port Adelaide 6-8-44. Thomas 3 goals for the Kangaroos. Schultz and Monfries 2 each for Port Adelaide, but as you heard in those highlights there, Monfries has hit the post on a couple of occasions for the Power. Earlier today, the Giants beat Melbourne at one stage. It was 2-1, a bit like here last week. 2-1 in the third quarter. Melbourne got close on a couple of occasions, but the Giants steadied. Should have won by a bit more. 29 scoring shots to 12. 10-19-79. Melbourne 7-5-47. Jason Ball gave the votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year, the former West Coast and Swans Premiership player. 3 to Adam Treloar, 2 to Shane Mumford. Almost a record for hit-out. 60 today for Mumford. And Stephen Cornelio got 1 vote. And the Giants are in the top 6. 2 wins, 1 loss. Melbourne going to be pretty tough for them, Drew, I would have thought. Even though they were competitive, they're not scoring.
Yes, and Lee Matthews, he reckons that ruck hit-outs are absolutely useless. Sandlin's the most overrated player in the competition. Interesting call. This is a vital third quarter here for the Kangaroos because I reckon they'll need a very handy lead at three-quarter time. Some stats. Port in the last quarter in their 2 games so far this year, they kicked 7-5 to 1-2 against Carlton to come from behind and win in round 1, and they kicked 6-2 to 3-2 against the Crows to win the showdown last week at Adelaide Oval. They come over the top of everybody in the last quarter, so if they do that today, they'll be winning. So North, I reckon, need to lead at three-quarter time.
Well, Ken Hinkley's always said if you're playing Port Adelaide, you've got to run a lot. Particularly at the end. I mean, last year they were winning matches where they were running over the top of teams, beat the Adelaide Crows twice coming from behind, beat West Coast coming from behind, beat Collingwood in the last quarter of that final. Very, very good at it. So we'll see what North are made of because that's been a bit of a problem with them, Scotty, hasn't it, being able to see out matches. It certainly was a real issue for them last year. Cost them a spot in the finals, losing all those close ones when they were in, almost unbeatable positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, look, I know Port Adelaide, they moved heaven and earth to get, I think it's Burgess, is it? Their fitness guy, back from overseas, and you know they can't speak highly enough of him, and you know that's an important part of your football team off field is your fitness, or your phys ed department, and they've got it right. You're right about the Kangaroos last year, though. They should have played finals footy. Should have, could have, would have. They didn't. That was last year. This year they need to redeem themselves and run out games. They need to get themselves into position winning positions in games and maintain it and hold it. Look, there'll still be something that's in the back of their mind. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter how many games you play. You know, those things from last year, you know, they'll be demons. If they get 4 or 5 up, you know, at three-quarter time, they know what happened last year, and it'll be spoken about. And Port Adelaide will speak about it, and the Kangaroos will know those stats that you just read out, Drew, about their last quarter. So I think someone said during that third quarter, I think you said, Stan, about it being, you know, above the shoulders this game. It is, because you can get some mental demons that can really affect your performance on the field.
Drew, an interesting thing to me was just how North are playing compared to last week. I thought last week they just were fanatical run. The contested ball, you got to go. But there was no system. There was nothing when we get it, what are we going to do? I think they're much better today. I've just noticed that when they've had the footy, they've had some people to go to, and they've actually maximised their performance. It'd be interesting, Drew, the inside 50s. There's a big discrepancy, but I think it tells a little bit if you want to read them out.
30-18 in favour of Port.
Yeah. So what it means is that the North have had the footy, mucked around with it a bit, but when they've got it into that forward line, they've actually been able to get some value out of it. Now, that's got to tell their team something. Scotty, you mentioned about it. Gee, if you've got a side that's set up a certain way, get the ball in quick. And I might suggest that a number of the goals they kick haven't come from any beautiful bits of play. It's more just grunt, getting it forward, belt it forward and make something out of it. So they've done well. On the other hand, the fact that the defence of North Melbourne has been very good because they've limited that number of opportunities, 30 inside 50s, and the fact that they've only been able to, Port only been able to kick 6 goals. I understand they've kicked those 4 posters. It's just something I think that has been good for North, but also would be worrying Kenny Hinkley. I think he'd be saying, we've got to get better. We're looking good, it's great, we're doing all those sort of things, but we just got to put more scoreboard pressure on. But having said that, to be quite, I've enjoyed this game. I really have, and I need to say that because I've been a bit critical over the last couple of weeks. I felt like going home at half time in some of the games, but today I have no intention of going home because I'm looking forward to the third quarter.
Let somebody else beat the traffic.
We'll be lost of that, Stanley. Now in the NRL full-time, West Tigers 34 have beaten the Melbourne Storm. It's been a pretty tough fortnight for the Storm. They've dropped their last couple now, 26. And Manly have also... West Tigers 34 defeated Manly 18, and I should say that the Gold Coast Titans defeated Melbourne 28-26. Read the screen better, Daniel. Netball first quarter, the Trans-Tasman Trophy. Southern Steel 14, Northern Mystics 15, and the Women's International Soccer full-time. Brazil 1, the Matildas 0. And in the A-League, 27 minutes played. The second last round of the season, or the last match, I should say. Sydney FC 0. Wellington 0 after 27 minutes. We'll keep you updated right throughout the rest of the day. As we mentioned earlier, GWS beat Melbourne. 2 wins from 3 now. They take on the Bulldogs next week. They won by 32 points. And earlier today, Shannon Byrne, our boundary rider in Sydney for that match, caught up with the man who was best on ground from the GWS Giants, Adam Treloar.
Well, Adam, first of all, congratulations on the win. A pretty convincing final quarter there. Had to do it the tough way?
Yeah, it's terrific for the boys. I mean, to be challenged by Melbourne, especially in that last quarter, I mean, they're a great team, great up-and-coming team, and to actually be challenged and come away with the 4 points the way we really finished off that last quarter was terrific from all the boys.
What was it like in the lead-up to be favourites for once, you know? Is that something that sat comfortably, do you think, with the team?
Yeah, we don't really look too much into that. I mean, we just believe in ourselves each week, whether it's against the best team or, you know, a team that's really improving. And we didn't really pay too much attention to that. We really believe that we had a massive chance to win this week if we stuck to our game plan and our structures, and we came away with 4 points.
The majority of the side, you've been with the team for a couple of years now, so a couple of pre-seasons. How confident are you guys after this performance as well that you're able to stay with the teams now for the 4 quarters? Because you've had some pretty strong, all your 3 games have been strong last quarters.
Yeah, I think to come back to that experience, I mean, obviously, like you said, we've had a few pre-seasons underneath the boys, and there's also the leaders out there, Josh Hunt, Heath Shaw, Shane Mumford. They really lead by example, and they help us, you know, when we need to control the footy and slow the game down, that's what we do. And I think the boys are showing that they can run out 4 quarters, and we look forward to whichever team we come up against.
What about you personally? 33 possessions, 14 tackles and a goal. Not a bad day out.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have a good game, but it's just great to get the win. I mean, everyone was super. I mean, Steve Canillo, Callum Ward, they really led from the front. Sam Frost down in the back line. They were all super, and it wasn't just me. It was a great team effort.
Something about wet weather as well for you guys too. This is 2 wins at home in wet weather.
Yeah, well, I think I was saying before, we really believe we're a contested team, and we think that's one of our strengths. So we don't care whether it rains, hails or shines. We think we're going to come away with 4 points, and luckily enough we did today.
And what about big Shane Mumford as well? What was said in that huddle at the end there from Leon Cameron? Did he point any of the big performances out today?
Yeah, he just he didn't really point anyone out. He's more of a team man, I suppose, Leon is, and he really just emphasised how good everyone was. Everyone played as a team. No one had a bad game. Everyone had a good game. I think that's the key to winning, and that's exactly what we did.
And how much are you enjoying your footy with the Giants at the moment? Round 3, you're 2 from 3.
Yeah, I love the Giants. I mean, they gave me the opportunity to come up here and play footy, and I'll always be grateful to them, and hopefully I can give them something back in the future.
Well, if today's game's anything to go by, you're certainly giving back. Adam, congratulations on your game today, and more importantly, a team win.
Thank you very much.
Adam Treloar with Grandstand's Shannon Byrne. They found a good one there, boys. He's been a terrific player for them in the 2 years they've been in the competition, and maybe a little bit unsung, but obviously not within the club. Going beautifully.
Yeah, he is, and I think he would be appreciating too some of the more experienced players that they've brought in around him. It just provides a natural progression for the younger, and I know they're high draft pick, but it still takes a little bit of time to get used to the physicality, the speed of the AFL game. And as I said, I think the natural progression is to surround yourself with a few more experienced heads, so that the reliance isn't on these younger players.
Oh, and a day like today, those conditions. I mean, how valuable is Mumford? I mean, you know, I'm not even worried about how many hit-outs he did. I'm worried about when the ball hit the ground and just bullocking through, just opening spaces up for those young kids. I mean, you can coach and you can say do this and do that, but I tell you what, if you've got a bloke out there like that, they'll walk a lot taller and they have a lot more confidence how they go about their footy.
I mean, the Gold Coast are the same, aren't they? They're probably slightly ahead, but they have those tall forwards like Day and Lynch who take a bit longer to develop, and they were excellent yesterday. Excellent. Stephen May, full back now. I mean, they're coming, these teams. We knew they would.
Oh, and I think they're coming a bit quicker than we thought.
Teams back on the ground here. North lead by a point at half-time. To the half-time break, both teams have had 98 kicks each, but North have had 8 more hand passes. The contested possessions are Port Adelaide 73-71. The marks are North 42-38. The clearances are North 28-20. But the inside 50s 30-18 in favour of Port Adelaide. Cunnington's had 17 touches, and we get underway here, and Lobie wins the first hit out. Doesn't go anywhere. Now he's on all fours. Ball spews out sideways. It was tunnelled out there by Gray. Grabbed by Ebert for Port. Floats a hand pass over the top. Brent Harvey didn't have his eyes on the ball. Boak got it. It's taken here for White of the Power. Wines is ridden into the ground. The ball spills and it's picked up by Gray, who spins out of a tackle. Didn't quite nail the tackle. Now finishes up with Pollock. Streaming up from the goal square is Westhoff. He's with McMillan. Little toe poke up to Monfries. Cornered out in the pocket. Gets the hand pass to Boak. Kicks across his body. Boak and nails the goal. The skipper puts the Power back in front.
Well, great bit of play, just pushing it forward. Just a special little mention there. I thought that, I think it was Robbie Gray, was it? Got absolutely poleaxed and could have laid down, but jumped up, raced in and got hold in the footy, got spun in the tackle, was given 7.5 minutes to get rid of it, 27 revolutions, kicked the ball forward. And then, interesting, Boak looked up. His first thought, Boak, was to try and see who can I give it to. There was nobody there. He's got to drop it round the boot, round the corner. It was a great goal. Great start to them.
Yes, they needed that. North had kicked 3 unanswered in the second half of the second term to gain the lead. Back in the middle, Goldstein, Lobe climbing high. Ebert can't take it. Gibson a hand pass on the up. Bit fierce for Wells. Now it falls to Ebert. Bursts through Wells. On the left. Kicks inside.
Monfrey's done a hamstring.
Monfrey's went after it. He's
done
stopped like he's been shot. You're right, Stan. He went after it. Ebert cleared the pack and they were racing after it close to the boundary. And Angus Monfries is GAWN. Boundary throw in deep into attack. Tapped down by Lobe again. Hand pass came out from McDonald of North along the ground to Cunnington. He kicks towards the outer wing. Getting in front, trying to mark it to Big Curry. Did okay. Had 2 or 3 to beat. Under pressure, Homsch. He lays a tackle on Jack Homsch, who's trying to get rid of it just inside the centre square on that City side. There'll be a ball up, Joe.
Angus Monfries is being almost carried off the ground. Just one leg that's on the ground at the moment. Pissard standing by to come on for Port Adelaide with the red vest awaiting Angus Monfries.
Yeah, it's a good player down. But that's, I'll tell you what, that's easy 3 to 4 weeks, that one. That was a real baddie.
And the way he was sprinting towards goal, he wasn't without a chance of gathering that footy and kicking a goal. And he was really stretching the hammies and busted it.
And he's thrown the mouth guard into the...
Kicked by Wines into the man. Grabbed by Thomas. Gets the hand pass away to Mullet. Mullet from 60. Goes long for goal and gets it there.
Well, I'm not quite sure what happened with Ollie Wines through the middle of the ground, but it just costs you when you make mistakes in that part of the ground. Good smother from Lindsay Thomas. Again, we've seen him stay involved in this game, whether it be on the mark, whether it be chasing inside forward 50. And that's the second the Kangaroo defender that's kicked the goal. Mullet's kicked one at McMillan, both from the back end. He's a little bit lucky he kicked it because he had Black running into an open goal. I don't think he would have been happy had he had it slid through for a point to Aaron Black.
2 goals to Mullet, Joe.
Just quickly, with Monfries, he's come to the bench, ice immediately on, and it's at the very sort of top end, close to the thigh of the hamstring. So if it's snapped or broken, then that's not a nasty place to do it.
Taken by Wines out of the middle, a hand pass, Boat. Port through Gray, just gets a high boot to ball under pressure. Butcher makes a contest at ground level. Gray's there again.
Oh, brilliant.
Getting in and out of trouble. Great hand pass even from 50. He goes whack.
Have a look. He
just misses to the right-hand side.
I tell you what, there's a little teammate out there with number 19 on his back. Matty White was saying, mate, you ignored me. I was out by myself. Could have popped it to me. I could have ran in.
Scores level, 7-9, 51. Port 8-3, 51 the Roos.
Kangaroos in quickly. Levi Greenwood takes the mark at half back and kicks down to centre wing where Hansen marks. Quick movement of the ball in this game. So different from last week's game. Onto the chest of Black, who's led well up the ground. He's marked just forward of the wing. The kick is only about 20 metres, marked by Wells. Need to see more of Daniel Wells. Equal best and fairest last year. What a kick that is, though. Wide out for Gibson, who marks on the run. He steers a low ball into Harvey, but it's chopped off by Broadbent. And it's out of bounds in the back pocket. They did move it quickly north, but they finished up only with a stoppage in their forward pocket.
It's absolutely shattered. Angus Monfries, boundary throwing. North looking to score here. Lobe taps to the front. Golston got a hand pass out. Harvey there will take it. Close to the boundary. Runs around under pressure. Handball to Gibson. Gibson will hook, but it's narrow the whole way. His disposal does let him down, Sam Gibson. Knows how to find space. Averaging 22 possessions a game this year. 5 gone. North back in front. 8-4-52. Port 7-9. 51 on the third term on Grandstand AFL.
And the scoreboard announcing that Pittard is on for Monfries. Switch of the vests. Broadbent goes for a bounce. Kicks. Oh, well done. Westhoff takes the mark at half back. Over the top of Hansen.
Nice pushing the back.
Free kick to Hansen.
Gee, after what happened to Cloak last night, I thought you could do anything.
Back gathers it full forward. There's no mark. Ground level ball in the goal square. Thomas threw himself at it. Nothing doing. Wells has it. Dishes it out. Port have it. Couple of hand passes. Broadbent in the clear up to Cassisi. Gets through a tackle. Dom Cassisi's kick outside the 50. Westhoff this time can't take the mark. It comes down to Adams. He paddles it beautifully to Hansen, and what a foot pass. Short ball into Bastanak. 55 out from goal. He puts it out to the fat side, and a chance here for Curry, who screams out but can't take the mark. He spills it, and Hartlett has it for Port.
Gets a hurried boot to ball close to the boundary, and Butcher takes the mark. He stretched the hamstrings, John Butcher.
They're under siege at the moment, Port, though. Kangaroos are really... he's being tackled from the side.
He is, and he got the kick smothered. Cassisi forced off it by Thompson. Handballs to Muller. We know he can kick a long goal. 52 out. He goes long. He goes strong. And he just misses to the left-hand side, Aaron Mallet. Aaron Mullet will get a right eventually. They're in front by 2, 8-5, 53. Port 7-9, 51. 7 played. They've got those attacking half-back flankers, the Roos are exciting.
Yeah, where were they last week?
Correct.
Broadbent straight up the ground. Could be a dangerous kick. Ebert can't mark, but it spills to Polek. Good hand pass through to Boat. On the run here is White, the former Tiger. Beautiful kick. Puts it out in front of Westhoff. It pitches, bounces twice. Westhoff gathers and goals. End-to-end football.
Easy as you like. Play the corridor. Was a dangerous kick from full back, I will admit. They're under siege, the Port Adelaide Football Club here early in this third quarter from the Kangaroos, who are all out attack at the moment. It was quite a risky kick, but risk and reward. Really good follow-up from Ebert. Got the ball up the middle. White's pace, I think, adds a little bit of a dimension to the Port Adelaide midfield. He's on the wing for Harvey, so that's a really important ball inside 50 for him. And Westhoff over the back. This is a really good game.
Oh, she's zinging around the ball, isn't it? Both sides, as if somebody said, we're letting you off the leash. You've been chained up for a month, we're letting you go.
Bounce. Goldstein got a hand in it, crashing in Bastanak. Then he lays a tackle just outside the circles with Polak, and then wins it from Polak, who now lays a tackle on Bastanak. He's got his head inside the centre circle. There'll be a ball up. Joe?
Just quickly, Ben Jacobs, the sub for North Melbourne, he's been warming up, a lot of work on his back. Got the headset on at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye. North Melbourne could be making their sub very shortly.
Wines from the centre, kicks to half for Grimer, can't take the mark, but when the ball hit the ground, he was too quick for Butcher. Grabs it, has Bastanak in space on the city side. He'll go after it now. Atlee's riding shotgun for him. Picks it up now, Ryan Bastanak. Good shepherding, Atlee allows him through. Wobbly kick towards half forward. Petrie fisted away by Carlisle's done a good job. Sees it over the boundary at half forward for North Melbourne. Sydney FC scored against Wellington. They're 1. Wellington 0, 39 gone in the A-League.
Gee, Drew Petrie's had a shocker. 3 touches with the 9-minute mark of the third quarter. At the boundary throw and little hand pass comes to Thomas. He hoists it high, but it's wide and not handsome at all. Into the crowd, out of bounds on the full.
Well, the big change to me, Scotty, has been the fact that the handball now uses an attacking, but then it's that kicking. It's releasing players going straight ahead. The kicking is lengthened out and everything like that. Very positive, aggressive game of footy at the moment.
The youngster from Torquay, Jasper Pittard, honours the sub for Port. Has a bounce, kicks to the wing. Butcher through his hands at the back row by Atlee of Nord. Handballs inside of McMillan. Under pressure, has to handball on the ground to Grimer, who runs out of territory. Pushed over the boundary. True wing position on that city side. North Melbourne 8-5, 53. Port Adelaide 8-9, 57. A thriller on grandstand. Nearly 10 travelled third quarter. Back into play. Lobe the tap. Shin from Ebert. Luckily it lands in the lap of Wingard. His hand pass no good. Adams got it out to Groomer, who attacks it. Lost control at the tackle. Cassisi in the middle. Quick hand pass to Ebert. Kicks to half forward. A great kick. Hartlett's got it. Had it punched away, a bit like Impey a bit earlier, but the umpire this time's paid the mark.
It was no more of a mark than the other one up the other end.
That's exactly right. Floating into space, Hamish Hartlett, left half forward. Not far from directly at centre half forward.
I don't think he'll be in trouble with the distance.
Minimal angle.
He's got a massive hoof on him, this boy.
Fine player. A lot of injuries, especially early in his career. To extend the margin to 10 points, Hartlett, goal.
Oh, what a kick.
Beautiful kick. And he's had 16 possessions, Hamish Hartlett, and Port Adelaide some breathing space. 9-9-63. North Melbourne are 8-5-53, 11 travelled in the third term.
Geez, he kicked that with ease, didn't he? Like a really smooth golf swing. We knew would have no problem with the distance, but that kick could play. He burst onto the scene for Port Adelaide a couple of years ago. A bit quieter last year because a few more people knew about him, but he's been a really solid player for the Port Adelaide team early this year. It just shows again, win it away from the stop play, get inside 50, one-on-one contest, score goals. I know that we're talking the game up a little bit too simply here, Stan, but it's amazing when you peel it back how simple it can be.
And amazing how good it is to watch.
Lobey wins in the middle, gets it down to Hartlett, who hand passes to himself. Gray it is. Ball's in a contest on the ground, picked up by Polak of Port. Pokes a little pass up, and Schultz didn't quite take the mark under pressure from Thompson. Thompson gathers, gets the hand pass out to Mullet, who kicks out wide to centre wing. Oh, Greenwood had it and dropped it. Grabbed by Gray. Here comes Boak. Up to Polak. Port have it just forward of the wing. Wines back to Boak. Great running by Port. Off to Schultz, who kicks towards the goal square. And a one-hander dragged in defence in the last line for North Melbourne by Atley. It was a great build-up by Port. Comes to nothing.
The kick's not a good one, though, to McKenzie, who was cornered, but he finds a way out to Atley. Will feed a hand pass to Hanson, a bit flat-footed at half-back. McKenzie gave them an option further up the field on the city side. And he hits Goldstein on the chest. Atley kept running for him. Good running by Sean Atley. Poaching half forward now. Pokes the kick to a running Del Santo, who gets away from Homsch. Handballs over the top to Harvey. Hard on the boundary. Homsch keeps him honest. Tries to run him out of room. Tackles him. Forces a kick to go backwards. A turnover. Port Adelaide have it at half-back. Stepping out of a tackle. Pittard. Handball to Jonas. Back to little Jasper Pittard. He's at half-back. Little foot pass. A good one to Westhoff. They're in the middle of the ground. He can kick long. If he's on his own, will it get there? It will. In fact, it's Wingard. 20 out. He rolls it home. Goal. They went down the middle again. They went audaciously and they got the job done. The All-Australian best and fairest of last year, Wingard, kicks the goal. 10-9-69. North are 8-5-53. 13 played. That's 3 in a row to the power.
Oh, really poor decision from Nick Del Santo. Forward handball inside 50. End up being a high handball to Harvey. And I know you've got to respect the little champ, but it's times where you've got to go back and hit it to the top of the square or have a shot yourself. At that forward handball inside forward 50 gets it into trouble. Turnover, really good job from the Port. Straight down the middle. Jay Schultz, terrific. He could have impeded young McDonald, but just pretended to go for the mark over the back to Wingard and runs into an easy goal. And it's just coast to coast.
Yeah, don't want to be upset, but what does that remind you of? North last year, all sucked up the ground. Somebody out the back, 2 out the back onto 1. Not good.
Del Santo out of the middle for the Kangaroos. Not marked at half forward. Port's outlet hand pass. Gray busts a tackle, goes to ground, loses it. Grabbed by Cunnington, fires out a hand pass to Thomas. Up to Harvey. Harvey, 40 from goal. Stops, props, goes for goal. Another underground kick, and he misses to the left. He's played 360 more games than me, but I don't know why he does it.
Stan, you find it weird that Harvey's the deepest forward when you got Platt,
Goldstein, cannot understand it.
Preacher and Curry out there.
He should be running back under their feet, not the go-to man.
Good kick to Polak and then to Boak on the city side and Westhoff. Going beautifully. A lot of movement by Westhoff. Will bang it long inside 50 against Schultz at the back. Here's a chance again. Can he pick it up with Wingard? He does. Throws it on the boot when it hit the deck and kicks a spectacular goal. Oh, what a goal that was. He was off balance and just threw it quickly on the boot and it dribbled home. 11-9-75. North are stuck on 8-6-54, Port by 21.
But there's the difference. The fact of when they come out, Terry's been really good from that point of view. Westhoff, he's the bloke presenting going up, so he becomes the target. When he spins around or feeds the ball off, they got Schulz as the target down there, and again. And what's happened, the smaller man Wingard can just play the role at ground level, and that time he was fantastic in the tackle. He'd fall on the ground, still able to get his foot to it. But just great setup and use of your players to maximise their ability. Kick to the talls, smalls, play your role.
Now, Joe, he's limped off, hasn't he?
He certainly has. He's at the bench. He's got 3 physios looking at him at the moment. It's his right ankle at the moment. Very, very ginger on it at the moment. So that's going to be touch and go to see if he comes back on.
Here come Port again. Empey out of the middle with a kick inside 50. It's punched towards the boundary line and out it goes for a throw-in. Inside half forward for Port, who are absolutely all over the Kangaroos at the moment. They lead 75-54, 21 the difference at the 16-minute mark of the third quarter after trailing at half-time. The throw-ins, won by Curry for the Kangaroos. He gets it down. Greenwood scrambles a kick out of there. Ball stays in, grabbed by Broadbent. He centres the ball to full forward. Butcher is there, hands to it, not a mark. At ground level, close to goal. Taken away by Attlee for the Kangaroos. Away goes to Gibson. And back with the hand pass to McDonald out of the back pocket. It works okay until the ball is smothered. Luckily spills back to Wells. Wells kicks out with great vision. And Greenwood takes the mark. He's in plenty of space going down the city wing. He's not quick, so he pulls up. Gets the ball into Gibson. Gibson on the run. Kicks to full forward. Punched away by Black. But it's all Port Adelaide in front.
High tackle.
It is a high tackle, and it's going to be a Port free kick.
Somebody's limped off, Joe.
Yes, Jamie McMillan for the Kangaroos has come off. Pretty much the same deal as Chad Wingard, who's getting his right ankle taped up. So McMillan's got 2-3 trainers around him taping up his right ankle as well.
Kasisi has this free kick inside defensive 50 for Port Adelaide. He's come up a bit ginger.
I tell you what.
There's a bit bit going on between him and Thomas.
He had a bit of a go,
interesting to see the vision of the Thomas tackle.
Free kicks are 13-12 in favour of Port Adelaide, and the scoreboard favours the visitors by 21.
He was flat-footed in Westhoff. The kick was intended for him, and tipping in Greenwood longer full forward. Fist away again by the Port Adelaide defence. Arriving is Pittard, couldn't take it. Petrie handball to Wells, under pressure, hooks it, kick to full forward, bouncing, no. Just misses wrong side. Kasisi was tumbling back and hit the post. Thanks, Drew. Might have nearly got past Dom Kasisi. Was touch and go. But the post has been a bit of an enemy for both teams today. 8-7-55 North. Port 20 points in front, 11-9, 75.
Port have led for most of the day, but North grabbed the lead at half-time. They led by a point. Diving forward, Mark McPate here to Thompson.
No, he tried to play on.
Spills to White. White the hand pass, gets it away to Trengo, back to White. Beautiful kick over the top to Boak on the run forward of the wing. He penetrates the 50. But he's given it up. Hanson takes the mark in defence for the Kangaroos. 75-55. Port in front. 18 gone, third quarter.
They're running them off their legs. Gibson, chip short now to Mullet. Got it from McDonald on defensive 50. Dockside, in short again to McKenzie. The youngsters combining here for North. A lot of left footers in this exchange. He kicks down the line on the dockside on his own. Big Curry. Drops off his head then. Didn't know how to describe that. Turnover, Kasisi to Broadbent, making errors everywhere, the Roos. Can't take the mark. Trengove lays the tackle on Thompson, sees him over the boundary. It'll be thrown back into play. Didn't know how to describe that one. It was like a pudding being spilled on his head. Big Dan Curry, boundary throwing. Joe?
Good news for Port fans. Chad Wingard's got that ankle tapped up. He's just walked back onto the ground.
Kicked 2 goals in a minute, and he's very largely had plenty to do with Port's position in the game in this third quarter. Tackle laid by Cunnington. Ball spills to Del Santo. He's spun round 360. No whistle on the play. The umpire letting it go. Plucked off the deck by Cunnington. The hand pass out. Toe poke by Broadbent. Just outside the forward 50 for Port. Tackle laid by Wingard after he's got his ankle strap. And now North Melbourne emerge with the ball. Hand pass comes from Adams to Del Santo. An underground kick. We've seen plenty of those today. Along the boundary line to the wing. The hand pass in. Spilt by Jonas. Hand pass comes back to Homsch. He goes long to half forward. 3 against 2. Comes to the front to Cunnington. And North will be able to get out of defence.
Only momentarily Attlee. Hand pass outside to Adams. Likewise to Greenwood on the dockside to Harvey, spinning by. Kicks to Petrie, who's been smashed today by Carlisle, and is again. Kick was a bit short on Carlisle's right side to affect the punch, and he does, between wing and half forward. And Drew Petrie having a pretty ordinary start to season 2014. Back into play. Lobey Open-handed slap Goldstein. Harvey spinning by. Looks to take it. Goes to ground. Paddles out to Greenwood. Hooks a kick to the hot spot. Petrie and Carlisle. Neither can mark. He was brought to ground. I thought maybe Petrie illegally by Carlisle. Tring goes after it. He slips over. Levers a hand pass out to big Carlisle. Pushes his opponent Petrie off it. Handballs to Boak. Helping out in the back. Great kick to Westhoff. Thomas comes on. Westhoff takes the mark. Did he knock it away? No, he didn't. They're not paying the mark. How can you not pay that? That is the worst decision in the game. No, turnover to Thomas, and he finds Harvey. Can't possibly not pay the mark.
No, I think he said he played on. Yeah,
did he play on?
Yeah, but the guy didn't move off his mark. I mean, you can't second guess umpire.
No. Harvey's in short to Goldstein, and Goldstein marking front edge centre square, 70 from goal. Kicks long towards full forward. Out of position again, Petrie at the back. Bastanak tried to hack it out of midair, but he was off balance. It got away from him behind. And 8-8-56 North Melbourne. Port Adelaide 11-9, 75. 21 gone in the third quarter. Joe before Drew.
It appears as if North Melbourne have made this sub. It looks like Jamie McMillan won't come back on as a result of that ankle injury. And Ben Jacobs has got the green vest off.
Broadbent goes for a gallop and kicks with distance. It gets over a contest. Comes to Polak. Is run down by Del Santo, holding the ball.
No right side.
Kangaroos free kick. They take advantage quickly. Del Santo, the hand pass forward, chopped off by Cassisi. Poor disposal by Del there. Gray.
Thomas is getting annoying.
They've forgotten how to kick the ball, both these sides. All of a sudden you give him a rap. Oh, good on you, boom, he's kicked one.
And he kicked it well. Mark taken by Mullet. He puts it out on the city side and there's plenty of space. Can Thompson, the full-back, kick a goal? He gets the 35 and does! Scott Thompson gets the goal. Gets the Kangaroos back into contention. Margin 13.
Well, they can be thankful they got defenders today, Stan, because none of their forwards are kicking goals. We've had Mullet kick 2. We've had McMillan from the back line kick 1. Now we've had Thompson kick 1. So, geez, I think they've 4 or 5 goals on the out of the 9 from the defenders. So, yeah, look, what happens with Port Adelaide is they've got such a high energy or high work rate game style with that coast-to-coast running style of games that they actually lose energy during the quarter. And sometimes you've just got to take hold, chip the ball around to get the energy back in their game. Kangaroos have just got to hold in here. They've got to hold on and maybe get one more before three-quarter time.
Goldstein beats Slovey, but then no one going anywhere from the clearance. There'll be a ball up inside the bullseye. Big moment this for Ben Jacobs, who was a first-round draft pick for Port Adelaide a few years ago and wanted to come home. Hasn't proven himself at North yet. Playing against his old side today. And Cassisi's in there scrapping hard. And Jacobs is there as well. The aforementioned one. There'll be another ball up inside the centre square. 13 points the lead. 5 goals to 2 this quarter for Port Adelaide. Hartlett, third man up, got it down. Looking to try and clear it. Port Adelaide. Play on the bottom of the pack. Cunnington receives it on the outside and gets a hand pass further out to Gibson. On the outer wing, just behind the wing. He delivers now nicely towards Bastanak. Giving him some run. He takes the mark. North 9-8-62. Porter 11-9-75.
Bastanak squares the ball back to Atley. He's at centre half back on the paint of 50. Short pass over the top to Mullet. Mullet comes across to the dockside. Grimer takes the mark. They open them up here. Grimer short pass up towards the wing where the mark's taken by McKenzie. Now he gets a lead in from centre half forward. Black, crunched late. Markle free kick. It spills to Grimer. Grimer gets it inside the 50 where Wells is in front.
It was touched off the
boot. Mark. Hand pass by Cunnington out wide. Greenwood. McKenzie swerves through a tackle and puts the ball to full forward. Here's a chance for the Kangaroos. Bit of hesitation, but Bastanak goes for goal. What's he done? He's missed.
Yep.
He missed from 15 right in front.
That's the one they needed just before three-quarter time to put more pressure on the Port Adelaide Football Club. But the difference between the two teams in transition is that Port have been able to use their spare behind the footy in their ball movement. The Kangaroos don't. They don't use him moving forward.
Pittard kicks towards the half-back flank on the dockside. North win possession at ground level again. McKenzie gets a hand pass to Wells. Wells will spot up a man. He won't let him down with a good pass to Bastanak at left half forward. Bastanak plays on quickly. Bangs it long. They're attacking the goals relentlessly. Petrie can't mark again. Thomas spins by. Can he get boot the ball? No, Westhoff is there. He just lost balance. Thomas in the goal scorer and Westhoff forces a rush behind. Going to ground margin. 11 points. They're peppering away. 9-10-64 to 11-9-75. Port in front.
They've had the last 5 scores, the Kangaroos, but it's 1 goal 4.
Can't clear defensive 50 Port at the moment. Real turn in the game.
Trengo for Port. Kicks up short of centre wing. Good mark taken by Aaron Black. Squares it into Wells. Going okay at the moment, North, but they still trail by 11 points. Now, I reckon they need to be leading at three-quarter time because Port are such good finishers. But they might be running out of time to lead at three-quarter time. Just 3 minutes to the siren. Thompson, the fullback, has a bounce. Kicks it back to Black. Black goes long inside the 50. There's a hell of a group there. There's no mark. Comes to the front. Thomas has a chance to rove. Hand pass comes out to Ebert for Port. Short pass off the left foot. And the mark taken by Ollie Wines.
Wines, as Mr. Gameson's making his debut. Goes backwards, nothing on offer up the ground. He finds Cassisi back to full back. They'll look to switch to Polak. He's on his left side again. But back to Cassisi, sharing it in the back pocket. Not really moving the ball forward. Left back pocket, Dom Cassisi. Camped at the locket end for Port Adelaide. On the left, now he'll clear defensive 50. Go close to the line. Boak brings it to the ground and roves his own spillage. Out to Jonas, who kicks off the left foot into bodies, and it goes out of bounds just behind the wing for Port.
Just interesting, they are getting very tired, fatigued, because that switch was on by Port Adelaide. But looked up the ground, nobody pushed over. They were doing that earlier on.
Port 75, North 64 at the 27.5-minute mark of the third quarter. Roof closed and an enjoyable, terrific game of football here. It's plucked off the deck by Greenwood. Off the left, he kicks to full forward. Was there a push-out? Punch from behind, Curry. Goes goalwards for the Kangaroos. Jacobs is there to lay a tackle on Boat. The ball goes over the boundary line alongside the behind post, and we get a throw in. Another chance for the Kangaroos to snare a goal. 2 minutes to three-quarter time.
Yes, ball constantly in their attacking half at the locket end. 20 metres out from goal. The throw-in occurs. Levy out of position. Missed by Greenwood. Polak shakes the tackle. Handballs on the outside to Broadbent. Has been good today. Kicks to the wing. Westhoff tried to whack it on. Atley wins at ground level for North. Getting a lot more of the footy now. Mullet floats a long hand pass to Grimer. The half-back line combining. Kicks on the city side. Terrible kick by Grimer. Levy reads it best. He's virtually rucking on his own against Curry and Goldstein. Covering the ground nicely, the big man. For the Eastern Rangers, he marks in the back pocket. Matthew Levy hoists it high, close to the boundary. An offensive kick. Up goes Butcher. He's tried to clunk them today. He can't. When he hit the ground, he tried to rove it. Intercepted by Thompson. Cuts the sway through would-be tacklers. Good kick to Del Santo. Feeds on the outside. Cunnington kicks long to full forward. Who's going to mark it? Curry. Lunging can't. Tringo takes a loose ball. Not happening for North. Handballs to Polak. Kicks quickly on the left. Clears defensive 50. Might come back to Atley. Hooks around the body again off one step towards full forward. No mark taken. Row by Adams. Misses. Right hand side behind. Another score for North. But the wrong kind. 9-11-65. Port 11-9-75. Joe Sullivan.
Lockie Hansen spent a long time on the bench. It appears he's got an injury to one of his fingers on his right hand. At one stage was practicing handballing with an open hand. So he's waiting to come back on. It'll be interesting to see what role he plays when he does cross back over the white line.
Well, already in this quarter, North have kicked 2-8 to Port's 5 goals 1. It's been on North's forward line constantly, but they just can't find the big openings. And here come Port straight down the middle. Ebert has taken the mark to the left of the centre circles. He penetrates the 50. Big leap by Schultz. I hesitated there because he's taken the glove off. And the ball runs end on end out of bounds in the forward pocket. 75-65. Port lead by 10 points.
Well, this will be a relief for Port because they haven't had inside their forward 50 for about the last 7 minutes. They've just been really stagnant through the middle of the ground. No one hitting up at the football.
Boundary throw in. Tap down Levy. Missed by Cunnington. Got support in McKenzie, but his kick finds the wrong man. Tringo, handballs out wide now to Homsch. He's a left footer. And he hoists it long, Jack Homsch, towards the pocket. Westhoff not there. And an open-handed Slap by Grimer finds the boundary right on three-quarter time. And Northern in front by a point at half-time. Port threatened to blow it away again as they got a number of goals consecutively in that quarter. Then North just took over in the remaining 10 minutes but couldn't find the goals often enough. 2-8 as Drew said. 9-11-65. Port 11-9-75. The power by 10 points going into the last quarter. But as we know, they're generally pretty good finishers in an AFL match under Ken Hinkley.
Dan, after Port kicked 4 goals straight, unanswered, the Kangaroos answered with 1 goal 5 to finish the quarter. 1-5.
Might cost them dearly. And they were in there, in the teeth of goal. Plenty of scoring opportunities. Drew, you're right, just couldn't find the ones that counted. Hartlett a couple for Port Adelaide along with Montfries, who's gone off. He was subbed out with a hamstring injury. And also Wingard, he got 2 in a minute, as we said, threatened to break the game open. Schultz has kicked a couple as well. Singles to Westhoff, to Wines and to Boak. And for North Melbourne, most of their goals, as the boys mentioned, kicked by their defenders. Bar Thomas, who got 3 in the first half. And then their other goal kickers are all singles, bar Mullet, who's got 2. Black, McMillan, Harvey, and the fullback, the All-Australian fullback, Scott Thompson. In the A-League, half-time, Sydney FC can keep their slim chances of being in second position at the end of the home and away season next week alive, because having a good win today, you'd think they lead Wellington 2-0 in the netball as well. Southern Steel of New Zealand 32 trailing the Northern Mystics from Auckland 36. After this match, and we'll get a scene setter very shortly, we will be going to the MCG, Essendon and Carlton, but three-quarter time at Docklands, Port Adelaide by 10 points. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio and Grandstand Digital.
We all remember a bit about Noah's Ark. The animals going in 2 by 2, the great flood, the Ark itself.
Joanna Lumley embarks on an epic journey of discovery.
Noah and the Great Flood is one of the oldest stories we know.
The BBC presents Joanna Lumley, The Search for Noah's Ark.
It's something that's fascinated me all my life. And in this film, I'm going to show you why.
At ABC shops, centres, ABC Shop Online and DVD retailers.
Sunday footy.
Grandstand AFL.
With McMillan, little toe poke up to Montfries, cornered out in the pocket, gets the hand pass to Boak, kicks across his body, Boak, and nails the goal. The skipper puts the power back in front, kicked by Wines into the man, grabbed by Thomas, gets the hand pass away to Mullet. Mullet from 60 goes long for goal and gets it there. To Boak. On the run here is White, the former Tiger. Beautiful kick, puts it out in front of Westhoff. It pitches, bounces twice. Westhoff gathers and goals.
He can kick long if he's on his own. Will it get there? Well, in fact, it's Wingard. 20 out. He rolls it home. Goal. They went down the middle again. They went audaciously and they got the job done. We'll bang it long inside 50 against Schultz at the back. Here's a chance again. Can he pick it up with Wingard? He does. Throws it on the boot when he hit the deck and kicks a spectacular goal.
Mark taken by Mullet. He puts it out on the city side and there's plenty of space. Can Thompson, the full-back, kick a goal? He gets the 35 and does.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Local Radio, online and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Well, that was the last goal of the quarter from Scott Thompson. North then just constantly peppered the goals inside 50 at the locket end, but kept missing. And Port Adelaide lead by 10 points on Grandstand AFL with Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, Stan Elves, Scott West and Joe Sullivan. 11-9-75. Northern 9-11-65. A night match at the MCG. The school holidays are here. You'd think that other families and fathers and mothers, etc., might be taking a little bit of a break as well. So we'll see what sort of crowd we get at the MCG. And that's where we find, for the big match tonight, Gerard Waitley. Welcome, G.
Thanks, Dan. It is a beautiful night, so the weather's certainly playing its role for the experiment with Sunday night footy. It's a loaded experiment, but it also makes it high stakes. Really, anything short of 70,000 would be a disappointing crowd. And if it was to fall below 50,000, then that would be a straight fail, given that these two teams, the last time such a crowd was drawn was in 2007, and that's when both were well out of the finals race late in the season. From a team's perspective, there is a change to the Essendon lineup. Patrick Ambrose Penrose is a late withdrawal. He's been replaced by Jake Melksham. So there's a debutant in the Essendon side, their second-round draft pick, Jason Ashby. The Blues are as selected. Tom Bell is the sub there. The sub for the Bombers is Gleeson, who's in his third game. They played 2 thrillers last year, 1 kick games. Essendon won them both. The first by 5, the second by 6. On face value, their form is better and they will run favourites, but sometimes these matchups, they just hold regardless of current form. So that's coming up at the MCG, where a big crowd is expected. The Bombers and the Blues. After you, Dan.
Good on you, Jared. Look forward to that. And here we look forward to the last quarter. Stan Elves and Scott West, Port by 10 points.
Well, we went goal each early in that last quarter. Then Port Adelaide just put the foot in the on the pedal and they played free-flowing, down the middle, direct football. And it just shows, if you move the ball quickly, doesn't matter whether it's on this ground, the MCG, doesn't matter where you play, you can catch the defenders out. The want of the Kangaroo defenders to get up the ground, and we've seen it today with them kicking multiple goals from their backmen, you can catch them out. And that's what happened in that quarter, especially from about the 7-minute mark up until about probably the 18-20 minute mark, where they just dominated the play with quick ball movement. Wingard kicked a couple, Schultz got one, and they just dominated. To the Kangaroos' credit, they really fought back late in that third quarter. They had more shots on goal in the last 6 or 7 minutes. And again, as Drew said, 1 goal 5, you have to take your opportunities. We're 20 scoring shots apiece going into the last quarter, but the Port Adelaide team have taken their chances.
Plus 25 in disposals, the Kangaroos. The inside 50 still with Port. They're plus 8 there. The contested possessions, pretty even. Kangaroos plus 4. Boakes had 23 possessions, Wines 22. For North, Cunnington and Greenwood both 25, and Gibson with 22. We get underway at the start of the last quarter, and Port lead by 10 points. It's one in the middle by Goldstein. It's rowed by Greenwood, but the whistle has gone, and it's going to be a free kick to Greenwood, even though he was dashing away with the ball and the kick. It's got to come all the way back.
For North to win this game, Drew Petrie has to discover some form. If he can get there, they cannot just rely, as Scotty and the boys are just saying, on the goals coming from the defence. He's got to clunk a couple. I would suggest if he did, the lift he'd give this team would be immeasurable.
He's taken 2 marks and had 1 kick, Drew Petrie. This ball's inside 50, and coming over the back is Black to pluck the mark from behind and give himself a chance of kicking a goal from about 50 metres, Aaron Black.
It's a good grab. There's a couple of players involved in it, but he had the stronger hands and certainly brought it down.
Straight kick would make the margin 4 points. Could North reverse a trend and come over the top of a team in the last quarter? Black from about 51. Oh, he hasn't kicked it well. It comes up short. It's punched to the front. Taken by Boat. Gets it away to Polek. And his kick is good. And Westhoff takes the mark at half back for Port.
Presenting all day, Justin Westhoff. Trying to make something happen in attack and then saving the day in defence. Centering ball. Finds Jonas at centre half back with the bandage. He does want to switch to Carlisle. He'll bring it out now to the running Pittard, the sub. On the left, it's a beautiful delivery towards Hartlett. Poaching left half forward. Hartlett will kick. Hope it'll get to Schultz. It does. Great kick. Scotty Thompson had sagged in front then, Stan, and it was a magnificent kick. It had enough on it, and Schultz read it to perfection. Slight angle 20 out. He should kick this and make it a bit tough for the Roos early in this final quarter.
And great transference of play from one side to the other, and all the North defenders were over the other side. They hadn't spread. They got totally caught out. The Port players reacted quickly, got off their players and ran to open space and were going to take it from one end of the ground to the other.
3-time leading goal kicker for Port Adelaide. He's kicked the goal. It just sneaks in. It was heading right, but it found its way home. And 3 goals to Schultz. Port 12-9-81 Estedia. North 9-11-65. 2 played in the final quarter. Joe Sullivan.
Good start there for Port Adelaide in this final term, considering the subs that have been made. 3 subs actually made today. Port Adelaide, we recap, Angus Monfries in that third quarter appears to have done something pretty severe to his hamstring. He's come off, as you mentioned, Pittard on. And Jamie McMillan at the 3-quarter time break has actually gone down into the rooms on crutches with what appears to be a moon boot on his right foot, so not good news. And the third sub, as I mentioned, was the umpire, Jason Armstrong, in the second quarter. He got KO'd by Matthew Lobe, and Andrew Talbot, number 47 for the umpires, is officiating at the moment.
Well, it was probably his fault because he ran into Lobe. Didn't see him.
Gee, they'll be hard to beat, I reckon, from here, Port Adelaide. They lead by 16. Del Santo soccers the ball out of the middle, chopped off by Boak. Del Santo then comes in to dispossess him, works it across to Gibson. A kick to full forward. Drew Petrie in front. He's had an absolute Barry. Can't grab this one. Cunnington's in there on all fours. They get him from all points of the compass, and the umpire says no opportunity to get the ball out, and he's going to throw it in the air. Port lead 12-9 to North, 9 goals 11, and we've been playing 3.5 in the final quarter.
Throw up. Wines does the ruck work, got it down, and even a little chip kick did go the required distance to Gray, and he's just through that as being tackled. He was thrown in about a 360-degree arc in that Del Santo tackle, and just virtually gave that to someone in the crowd over the boundary. Did he get his foot to it? I didn't think he did. Thanks, Joe. Your eyes are better than mine. Joe Sullivan on the boundary. Falls to Pollock at the back in that ruck contest. Handball to Wines. Grubbers at Schulz. Quick give now towards Wingard. Wingard will kick to a running Westhoff. Not a great kick. It floats for him. It gets away from him. And he was on his own with Grimer a few metres away on this dock side at half forward. It's out of bounds. 60 around from Port's goal to lock it in. You just think one more and the floodgates will open.
Throw in at half forward for Port. Goldstein had an airy. I think it hit him on the schnoz. Ground level. Wines gets a little hand pass through the pack, but it's chopped off for the Kangaroos. And the kick up towards centre wing. They've turned it over again. Impey shares the ball with Jonas, gets it back. Kick by Impey to half forward. Nearly a chance there to mark for Hartlett, but he's lost it. Thompson has it for the Kangaroos. The hand pass away. Running through the middle is Atley. He's a sprinter. Right down the corridor. Gets to 50. Atley goes for goal. He hasn't given it heaps. And getting back there to knock it through. Well played by Carlisle to rush it behind.
He'd run out of petrol tickets, had he?
And a good chase by Impey too. Just like enough to put the pressure on.
I like him. He gives him energy down back.
Yeah, there's a few blokes might have put a token on him, but he just... I think that what happened was that Atley could sense him coming at him. Just enough to put him off.
It's reliable defenders, Port, haven't they? Carlisle kicks to Jonas. Jonas towards the city side half-back flank. Over the head of Lobey. Missed also by Grime. He'll get another chance. It rolls for him. Handball to Del Santo. Back to Grime. He goes back now to Hansen at half-back. Looking to slow it down, but they can't afford to do too much of that. Nearly 6 played. They trail by 15 points, North Melbourne. Lockie Hansen will kick long for Hope. Goldstein will be the target. Good play to fist it down by the little man Pittard. Jacobs the road. Handballs to Mullet on the outside for North. Kicks to half forward. Not a good kick. White runs onto it for Port Adelaide, and then the boundary line gets too close for him to have any impact. Right on attacking 50 for North at the Coventry end on the city side. In front of the scoreboard shows Port 15 points to the good.
At the throw in. Goldstein goes to ground. Lobey wins uncontested. Down to Broadbent. A high kick over centre wing. They dart back for it. Bad bounce for Hansen. It comes back over his head. It's grabbed here by Butcher. He kicks to open spaces inside the 50. First back there is Thompson. He gathers. Does it coolly, calmly. Gets the hand pass away to McDonald. Off the left. Kick by McDonald over half-back flank. Hansen outnumbered 2-1. Broadbent is at a ripper. He gathers, goes for the short pass. He had his back to it for most of the time, but Butcher turned round just in time to take the mark. In between wing and half forward. Gives it off to Broadbent. Kicks to full forward. No mark. It spills to Thompson. He pokes the ball out of defence outside the 50. Takes an awkward bounce. Jacobs keeps it alive for the Kangaroos against his old side. The sub on in the third quarter. It's close to the boundary line. North have kept it alive. And is Mackenzie getting a hand pass away?
He gets it over the top and receives it again as he kept running. Kicks towards half forward. Thomas was held on to then, was he? He was. Against Jonas. Good play by Mackenzie. Good second and third efforts around that city side. Made the most of it. Thomas very good at that. Very, very good at staging for free kicks. Could have got himself into Jared Waite territory, though. Left half forward. Too far out. The score has to go back now to open it up to Hansen. He'll switch into the middle of the ground to Grime, the most defensive man out there now. To the man just on the edge of the centre circles. It's McDonald. Kicks inside 50. Kick too long for the intended target. Adams falls to the back. North still a chance. Through Greenwood. Or Gibson it is. Gibson's held up in a standing tackle. Hanging on for dear life is Homsch, who's replaced O'Shea in this side. O'Shea played every game last year and doing a good job. Tap down. Spinning by Thomas and Wells. Corns gets the hand pass out now to Pittard. He gets around an attempted tackle by Wells, which wasn't great. But Pittard's kick blazes away badly. Straight to Grimer on the wing for North.
Centres the ball. McDonald takes the mark. Luke McDonald, 19-year-old, son of Donald McDonald. On the run, nobody standing the mark. Long to full forward. Oh, one-hander, is it taken? It is. Petrie, but Mark not paid. It was socket off the ground, and I think Goldstein might have gone.
Played the role of Verona then, Goldstein. Would have nearly been paid to Petrie. It just didn't get that third bite. Again, the Kangaroos, they need to take the game on a bit. They're the ones that need to score. They've just been off half-back, down the line, off half-back, down the line. No change of direction, no putting the ball under their arm and taking the game on. Okay, we get a score. Really good kick. Inside 50, long and direct to the top of the square, creates an opportunity. Probably wasn't the bloke I thought was going to come and kick a goal, Goldstein, but he's come off the ground, carrying to the ruck, and last time we went into the ruck, he actually made a bit of a difference to him.
No, he kicks less than one goal every 2 games, so if it's not defenders getting him, it's ruckman getting goals. Amazing. They've given themselves a show. They trail by just 9.
Joe?
Just quickly, Travis Boak's one of the Brews power plays. He's copped a corky to his right thigh. He's had probably the last 5 minutes been working away on that.
Greenwood trying to work his way through, got blindsided, kick got smothered, pouncing on it even for Port, back inside 50. Wingard there, he's too quick for Mullet, turns him inside out, snaps on Mullet, smothers the kick, didn't have enough elevation on it. Wingard goes back in, lays a tackle, North with numbers, should clear. Tipped out to Mullet, close to the boundary on the outer side. It's not a great kick. Even will attack it again. Can't take it with him. Tried to tap it out to Loeb. He wasn't ready for it. On hands and knees, Jacobs for the Kangaroos. A hand pass to McDonald, who's been very good. And then to Bastanak, who kicks off balance and kicks badly. And it's out of bounds on the full. Taken by Trengove. Handballs to Corns. 4-time best and fairest winner goes back as Port look to load up once more. Carlisle marking at defensive 50 at the Coventry end. Port Adelaide by 9 points.
Oh, kick across the ground, dangerous. Jonas closed down by Harvey, but Jonas does well to win the pill. Gets it beautifully with a right foot pass out to the former Tiger. White gathers on the run, kicks inside the 50, and the mark's been taken by Butcher.
Wouldn't back him in.
No, he's had one shot at goal and hit the post. The untidiest looking footballer you've ever seen is John Butcher.
Kicks badly, doesn't it? It's an awkward start.
They need it. They lead by 9 points, and North, since about the midway point of the third quarter, have had all the play, but haven't capitalised. It's a wobbly old shocking kick. Punched out of there. It comes back to Butcher. Might have another go. It's going goalwards for Port. A snap here by Westhoff, close to goal, and goes through for a minor score. Makes the margin 10 at the 11 and a quarter minute mark of the last quarter. Port 12-10, North 10-12.
Grandstand AFL. Mullet in short. Oh, Cunnington just got there. Gray wore one on the hip. Gray tried to circumvent it to come across his path. Cunnington held firm. Then spreads it wide to Greenwood. Back pocket out of side. And in short again to Mullet. Played pretty well, Mullet. That low sliding action. Works a treat. The North building around the city side. Atlee back to centre half, back to Hansen. They're going backwards to try and open it up. A quick give now to Thompson. Thompson slightly hesitant, puts the ball on the turf as Butcher confronts him. Then he gets a Shepherd and getting close as Westhoff. In short to Hansen. It's laborious type tactics here. They're not really taking the game on North Melbourne. They're going in very short. They're being careful. That kick to McDonald is a shocker. It's out of bounds on the fall by Hansen. McDonald led so close to the line, too close to the line, and Hansen's put it slightly wide. So a bad turnover by North as they went too cautiously then. They're down by 10 points.
Butcher, see if he can butcher this as well. Kicks inside the 50. It's a bit of an up and under, and Hansen in front takes a good strong mark.
No targets.
Hansen, the pride of Nanagoon. Across the ground he goes. Well delivered. The mark taken by Cunnington. Dodges around Wines, not once but twice. Gets clear, gets on the right boot, finds Bastanak at half-back. He marks, fires up the hand pass to Gibson. They've opened the ground up down the city side. Adams marks at half-forward. He's 65 metres out from goal. Draws the man on the mark, kicks to full forward. Come on, Drew, this is your turn. No mark. He fights at ground level, lays a tackle. The ball's still there on the point of the goal square. They're calling for a free kick here. Fans of both sides. The ball spills out and a shot underground by Thomas. Touched. No goal.
Female goal umpire doing a great job down there. Saw that immediately.
Margin 9 points in favour of Port.
I tell you what, both sides are out on their feet. They really are.
Ebert receives it from Pittard, kicks to the wing. Oh, it's a big mark, Cunnington. He does turn it over a bit, but he's as brave as they come, Ben Cunnington. From dairy farming territory, Tim Boone in the southwest of Victoria, passes to Gibson. Gibson a high ball inside 50. Camped underneath Homs, had it fisted away at ground level. Here's Greenwood. Greenwood on the left. North need this, but not successful. He's out of bounds on the full. Margin still 9 points in favour of Port before Drew J. Sullivan.
With Robbie Gray getting that stinger on the hip and's come off, had a couple of painkillers. The doctors and physios urging him to keep going. So he's going to go for a walk on the boundary and look like coming back on.
Port Adelaide under siege here, but the Kangaroos, who are dominating on the forward line, can't get the major scores. Wells takes a nice mark just outside the 50. Centering ball. Chance for Adams. No mark. Hand pass back to McDonald. He fires the hand pass in. Tackle laid. Ball spills free. Cassisi is there. Adams gets after him, takes him to ground. Umpire says play on. It spills goalwards for the Kangaroos. Boat works hard for Port. Umpire letting it go. Cunnington's in there on all fours. He tries to paddle it forward. Come on up. You've got to ball this up eventually. He's having a good look. He's making no decision. And now he says, give it to me. I'm going to throw it up. Port Adelaide lead by 9 points. 15 minutes gone in the last quarter.
Andrew Mays just told us that there was an umpire subbed in the GWS game today. Did his ankle. Chance for Greenwood. Gets a hand pass on the up. Now in the direction of Del Santo, going away from goal. Jacobs on the left, on the 50. Can he hurt against the old team? You bet he can, Ben Jacobs. Brilliant goal. Margin 3 points. The Roos of the last couple, 11-13-79. A thriller on grandstand. Port 12-10-82, 15 played. Good hand pass, Bastanak too.
You thought it was coming because it's just been under the pump, Port Adelaide. Their forwards just aren't presenting enough when the ball's deep inside their defensive 50 like they were early in the game. I know they're tired, but they've got to keep coming up at the ball and giving the option. Even if it goes out of bounds, they can reset for a stoppage. But the Kangaroos held in the forward line, really good defensive pressure. And you just knew, you just feel something coming for the Kangaroos, and they've got themselves well and truly back in this game.
What a moment for Ben Jacobs, not originally selected, replaced Zeeble in the selected side, started as sub, has come on against his old side and kicked a ripper there. Del Santo out of the middle, fires out the hand pass to Gibson, little toe poke over the top, and the mark taken by Adams, 65 from goal. He goes long to full forward. Thomas has a chance, Petrie there, it hits the ground, Boomer Harvey bounces it home. North in front. Could he do it 2 weeks in a row?
Well, all the momentum's with them, and it's just what happens when this goes and you're up and running. And Drewy, he finally got a goal by kicking it on the ground. He's burned a couple, but persistence for little number 29, and just pounced on it from the crumbing situation. But yes, all the momentum with North. They've got the stiff and everything like that. And now it's Power who are really, well, they've been under siege all this quarter. Probably for this quarter and probably the last half of the previous quarter. The momentum's been with North, but North haven't been able to hurt them as much on the scoreboard. But all of a sudden they've broke through. Now this is a real test for Port. This is a real test. There's no doubt they're sore and sorry at the moment. Their fitness is going to be severely tested.
Labey the tap. Port can't really clear it. North make it a scrap, which is what they want to do. Labey trying to extricate it out. He does well to get it to Gray. Gray now has it. Kicks inside 50. Hurry kick. Chaos ball. Nearly a Port Adelaide mark. Not quite. Tapped out towards Westhoff. It was Wingo trying to mark that one. Here's Grimer arriving late and sockering to the boundary. Shawls have got it where they want it. Right beside the right behind post. at the lock-it in. Haven't been forward a lot, though, in the last few minutes or so. 16 and a half played, North Melbourne by 3 points. For the last 5, boundary throw-in. Lobey a little tap, a lot of behinds as well. Del Santo a quick hand pass. Gibbs in a hurry, boot to ball into vacant territory. It's all Port Adelaide here on the dockside. Kane Corns takes it, stabs a little pass, not the right option. North knock away down to Grimer, gets tackled, has to get a hurry, boot to ball. Del Santo's Fossicking at ground level, won by Westhoff. Handballs to Cassisi, handballs now to Wines, pokes a kick inside 50, knocked away Cunnington, arriving late. Gray can't take the footy with him, then he rips it off Cunnington, goes to ground. Gray taps out the Westhoff, 20 out from Port's goal, picked up by McDonald, does well the youngster, but his kick will come straight back. Cassisi cuts it off, attacking side of the wing for Port.
North leading by 3 points. Cassisi with a brilliant centering kick. It's marked by Broadbent, who unloads a bomb and has kicked it a ball. Kicked it from 60. Massive goal by Matty Broadbent. And Port back in front by 3 points.
He's had a huge impact on this game. Early in the game, he was the free behind the foot. He got involved in their ball movement. But then, what a kick. He stood out. He was standing out there for about 3 minutes by himself. And I was a bit critical of the Port Adelaide players finessing going inside 50. Sometimes you just got to get in there. He had Shills at the top of the square, and they were trying to pinpoint passes. But you just see if you can use the width and the corridor in this ground. Wow, what a kick. What a kick.
Unbelievable stuff.
Some blokes have got it, haven't they? Some blokes have just got it. And wow. And when it went to him, you thought he might be a chance here, but boy, it was more than a chance.
51st game in a row for Broadbent, having a good one today. Lady pushes off his opponent Goldstein, taps it down. They try and clear North Melbourne. Just get it attacking side centre square. Handball Greenwood on the up to Jacobs on the outside to Del Santo. Good man to have it. Kicks inside 50. Daisy cuts Curry. Can't take it with him. Goes to the back in Pittard. Lunging effort to tackle Adams. Little Pittard gets away. Handballs to Broadbent. He gets around his opponent. Plays on quickly. Bangs Port Adelaide long. High ball empty. The little man's underneath. It makes a good contest. Butcher's there. Does well. Good hand pass again on the up to Homsch. Releases White. White's on the burst. On the dockside. He kicks off the side of the boot. He's running so quickly. And he does all rugby league or union kick. He kicks for touch. And it hits the chalk expertly.
He's more worried about pointing and telling Blake what to do.
He's running along directing traffic. Forgot to kick the ball properly.
He was running off balance. Port by 3 points.
Throw in at half forward for Port. Comes to Jacobs. Little kick puts Gibson out in the open. Harvey, hand pass to Wells. Here's something special. Wells over the top. Something else special. Del Santo. A beautiful pass. And the mark is taken by Adams. Not far off centre. 40 metres from goal.
Gee, the stoppage coach won't be happy with that setup from the Port Adelaide team. They just let him get out the back of the stoppage, no defensive pressure, and usually they have someone out the back, which is maybe the winger.
Hand pass off to Del Santo, who nails the goal. Kangaroos back in front.
Well, I've had a criticism of Del Santo today because I thought at times his little kicks have been a bit too cute, but that was a great break before where he's hit the kick and he's got it out to Adams, and then he's gone on, and from about 45 metres out from round the back, he's let throw and just nailed it. And I think that's the thing that North will want from him. He's a great player. He can set up out the back, but gee, he's danger when he goes forward, able to hit it. Just the seesawing lead changes now. Just full of excitement, this game.
Sure is.
North by 3 points. 13-13 to 13-10. 22 minutes played.
Plenty of time remaining for more twists in this contest. Gray may have been held as he went for the footy. Handballs to Boak, lost it as he was spinning by in the circles. Quick hand pass, Cassisi back to Gray, works his way through, wobbles the left footer, but no one there for Port. Mullet's been terrific in the second half, marks. And on the left, a penetrating kick. Gibson gets out the back, so good to get on his only marks again, backtracking. Left half forward, Sam Gibson pokes inside 50. Curry again. Butterfingers couldn't hang on. Off hands to Tringo for Porter. Clearing kick, and Broadbent, the man of the moment, arrives for them. Just behind the wing, they trail by 3 points. Delivers a pass out to Westhoff. Wider, close to the boundary on that city side. North Melbourne 13-13-91. Port Adelaide on Grandstand AFL 13-10-88 at the 23-minute mark of the final quarter.
The kick down the line, Hartley was there, and it's run over the boundary line by Butcher at half forward for Port. See, Dan Curry in his second game. He's taken one mark today. I reckon he might have dropped about 4 or 5. Boundary throw in. Comes North's way. Cunnington a hand pass into a pack. Greenwood. They work it out through Goldstein. Gibson. Diving in is Harvey to take the mark. In between halfback and wing. City side. Won the game. Best on ground last week, Boomer Harvey. He kicked the goal to put him in front here. And at the moment they lead by 3 points. And there's about 4 minutes remaining in the game. From here, North lost a heap of games last year. Port, we reckon, are the better finishers. Curry takes a mark. He's taken his second mark of the day.
Drew, he's giving you the bird. He's looked up.
To the bird. He waited 7 years to get a game at AFL level after being drafted by Sydney. Debuted last week, and finally he's come good here today. And they've kicked the ball sideways and backwards until Hansen has it at centre half-back. It's too far from full time to be just chipping it about and winding the clock down with only one kick the difference.
Yes, they are icing it. Greenwood floats into space from the Bastonak kick. Still just at left half back on the City side. Wider again, not a good kick. Beat both Gibson and Harvey, and it rolls out of bounds. Port Adelaide have a neutral ball contest once more. Chance to reload. Led by nearly 4 goals in the third quarter. Crowd of 19,111. Boundary throw-in. Leaning in is Lobe. Down to Weaver. Tackled. Taken by Goldstein. Picked up now by Bastonak. Hooks around the body for North. Curry there. Good work by Homs to knock it away, but Harvey gets in front of him. Too quick for Homs, but Homs works the body well. Sees it over the boundary. Trying back into play. 45 around from North's goal. One more might do it. 24 and a half gone. North Melbourne by 3 points deep into attack again.
Gee, to back Port to win after leading by 10 points at three-quarter time. They've lost the lead. Can the Kangaroos hang on with 3 minutes to play? Wells roves close to the boundary line. Hoists it high. Centering ball. Courage needed. A punch away. Goes towards goal. Taken by Kasisi. He gets the hand pass away. Carlisle. Further by hand to Boak, still in the back pocket. Hand passes to the feet of Carlisle. Back to Boak. Lots of touches, haven't advanced the ball very far. Oh, there's a shocking kick and straight onto the chest of Gibson, who marks. He goes across the forward 50 and he has found Harvey. And once again, Boomer Harvey could be a hero in the last quarter like he was last week. The outlet pass by Hartlett was an absolute shocker. Onto the
it was just panic. It was systematic of panic. Caught in there, unsure what to do. It's a lovely kick of the ball. He's just popped it up in the hope a teammate might get it. Now all of a sudden he's presented Harvey. Watch Harvey. Is he going to run around the mark or not? We don't know.
For his third from 52.
He's unleashed it.
What a kick! A magnificent kick by Harvey. His third. The lead is 9. 2 minutes to play.
Well, 2 weeks in a row, old Brent Harvey just dragged him across the line. Dribble goal, 52-metre goal. There's not much he can't do, this bloke. But look, they've been a lot. This second half, they've been a lot better, the Kangaroos. They've attacked the game more. They've had a little bit too much reliance on their defenders kicking goals, but you just can't keep a good man down. And Brent Harvey obviously finishing this game off well again.
7 goals for the season for Harvey, but again there's the concern that if Boomer doesn't do it, who else will?
Those little legs finding that distance at this stage of the game.
He's a superstar. Tapped down by Lobe. Urgency for Port Adelaide. Gray the clearance. Kicks power inside 50. Fisted away. Petrie playing in defence. Trying to get into it. Did well with a decent punch then. Comes out though in the direction of Hartlett. His kick will find the target. Little Impey's got onto it. He's taken the mark. They won't take this one away from him.
There's a bit of a blue behind. Hartlett's just really trying to redeem himself, didn't he? Just went forward with some real genuine purpose there. Well, with Petrie going, fellas, I wouldn't be wrestling at this stage. You're going to need every little bit you've got to last for the last couple of minutes.
Can Impey kick the goal? I don't think he has. The reaction of the North Melbourne cheer squad, who were right behind that kick at the Lockett end, he's pushed it to the left-hand side. Opportunity goes begging. Time running out. 13:11:89, nearly 28 travelled. North 14:13:97. The Kangaroos by 8 points. They've kicked 5 goals to 2 in the last quarter.
And Port'd need 2 more to win the game. Mullet runs the Kangaroos out of defence and roofs it as hard as he can, but he's kicked it out of bounds on the full. It'll be a free kick to Homsch, but a long way from goal and time running out. He's on the City side, in between wing and half forward. Kick by Homsch. Back into a big pack of players. Thumped by Grimer from the back. Comes to Gibson of North. He's bowled over in a good tackle. It's Bills to Boak, who gets past a tackle, snaps for goal from wide out, and misses to the near side, up behind. They needed a goal and come back to the centre for a ball up. 7 points the margin. We're in the last minute.
Yeah, there's been 7 goals kicked.
Pasternak in short. Attlee marks. 49th consecutive game today for Sean Attlee, along with the injured McMillan. And he dabs in short to Gibson. He just presents and runs, doesn't he?
Hasn't he? Coming up for his 33rd touch.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's a consummate outside runner. Just what North need. Kicks towards the wing. Here's Trengove. Curry. Another one didn't stick. Cunnington at the falls. Handballs now to Greenwood. Loops over the top to Goldstein. Back to Greenwood in pursuit. Pittard got it to Harvey. Harvey couldn't take it cleanly. Just on the edge of the centre square. Corns a hand pass. Not a great one. Not ready for it. Impey. Turned over by Cassisi for Port Adelaide. Now in the direction of White from Boat. On the outside running is Hartlett. Looking to redeem himself. 70 out on the side of North. They've won. The Kangaroos. They've finally won a close one. That behind, which Hartlett kick won't count. The Kangaroos have found a way to come from behind and beat the best finishers in the comp. They've won by 7 points, 14-13-97, Port 13-12-90. What a thriller at the Docklands. Well, it was a titanic struggle all day. Port started like they were going to blow the Roos away early. North hit back, and we're 7 points down at quarter time. At half-time, North are in front by a point. Port kicked badly, and then North kicked badly in the third quarter after the lead got out to 20. Port by 10, and North stormed over the top, and they deserved their 7-point triumph.
In the chorus, North Melbourne's on the ball. Good old North Melbourne, the champions you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.
Good game of footy. Brent Harvey a star again for North Melbourne.
2 last quarter goals, just like last week.
Well, he kicked 3. Mullet from defence kicked 2. Thomas kicked 3, all in the first half. Terrific effort by Lindsay Thomas early to keep North alive. Black kicked a goal, as did McMillan before being subbed out. Goldstein, another defender, Thompson. Del Santo in the last quarter. And an important goal when they needed one to help turn the match again by the sub, the former Port Adelaide player, Ben Jacobs. For the Power, Schultz kicked 3, Wingard kicked 2, Monfries 2 before he got injured with a hamstring. 1 each to Boak. Also to Broadbent, who was terrific today. Hartlett 2 as well. Wines kicked a goal, and Justin Westhoff. Final score, North 14-13-97, Port 13-12-90. In the A-League, Sydney FC have absolutely annihilated Wellington 4-1. And the Women's T20 World Cup finals underway, and England batting first. It's the old rivals, Australia and England, have played against each other a lot, Drew, in the last few months or so. 2 very good teams. England batting first after 5 overs, none for 19. We wish the Southern Stars all the best. They are the reigning champs. Off to the MCG shortly for Essendon and Carlton, but
what a game.
Scott, good game of footy today.
Oh, it was a sensational game of footy. It was one of those ones where the feeling I had early in the game was that it was going to be how far Port Adelaide. They started so well, and they started every quarter well. But credit to North Melbourne. They just hung in, really courtesy of a fantastic defence. I thought some great work around the packs, and then all of a sudden they just go down the other end and kick some goals. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't think they were going to be able to kick enough because they didn't seem to have a target
it down there. Petrie couldn't get amongst it. Black couldn't get amongst it. But they just willed themselves. They willed themselves, and when it was up for grab, they played the better footy, and they got a sniff, and it was almost and I said one stage during the call, this is the North Melbourne we come to know last year. They recaptured that form, that fantastic run from behind, the work of Mullet out of the back